Good evening everybody and welcome to Simplay Motorsport for the Thursday night race, live here on the Pro Group tonight at the Daytona Road Course for you. A full grid near enough. I think we are just awaiting one or two drivers to join us, but I'm joined again by Andy.
Hello everybody, welcome along to Simplay Motorsport for tonight. We should have an absolute cracker of a race. Pro Series, some of the fastest guys on the GT3 platform here and Project Cars 2. Should be an incredible night of racing. We're under the lights at Daytona Road Course once again, like we were yesterday, where we saw some changeable conditions, Matt. Really throw a spanner in the works for some of the lads out on the track, so we're expecting more of the same, and maybe these guys might be a bit more equipped to deal with the conditions, not just because these are the pro drivers, as in the best of the best, but also because they've got the benefit of having seen what we saw yesterday, which might give them an idea of when to pit, when the rain's going to fall, etc, etc. So yeah, can't wait to see how this one pans out tonight. And we've had a sneak peek, we've had a trailer yesterday.
Indeed we have, and we are ready for the feature film tonight. As we see Little Leach and Gary on track, Kieran Argent still with he's currently in the pits, Keegs in the pits, so is Fury with us again for a second week in a row. AH back after internet problems last week. We have Emo Guy with us as well, back for a second race. Unorthodox not yet in the lobby. He was there a moment ago, must have just disconnected now. We are expecting Mazda, just running a bit late tonight, he's informed me, but we are expecting Mazda through the evening. So let's keep an eye on what the people can do and what their pace is going to be compared to last night's Pro-Am pace. We saw some good surprise results from people yesterday. Liam Gamer taking a good podium, DJ Phil consistent as ever, Welshie inheriting a win from Jamie Brazier's disconnection once again. But while everybody is on their outlet, let me just take you through the current classifications in the Pro category. Then Gary leads the way 5 points ahead of Mazda, with Peaceful Explosion in third place on 23 points. Little Leach in fourth place, 41 points back. It's slowly becoming a three-horse race, this. Can Little Leach claw his way back in tonight? Phil then sits fifth, 43 points off of Gary, with Kieran Argent pretty much a surprise person up in sixth place at the moment, but he's having a good season nonetheless. Keegs sits in seventh. Then with AH, as I mentioned, disconnections last week, can he get back up to racing speed and back up to where he was tonight at Daytona? Monkey Boy ninth in the standings, not with us tonight. Apparently his little lad's unwell, so we've not got Monkey Boy with us tonight, and we hope he gets better and he's back with us next week. Sooty Apex has missed a couple of weeks, but he's back for the rest of the season, and he really needs to get his championship going. He is currently sat in 10th. Dean Wasocki struggling at the moment, P11. D-Biggs sits in 12th. Obviously only joined the league last week to D-Biggs. Emo Guy is 13th, Fury 14th, and Unorthodox in 15th place, who was just put in the comments that his steering was playing up, so he should be back on momentarily.
Yeah, one man that currently hasn't joined us at the moment is Fury. Hopefully he's going to get that sorted out.
Fury's on. Fury's on.
As soon as possible. Is he in here?
He's 12th on my list. I've got him 12th on the leaderboard.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. He is in. So, oh my days. See?
One of them days already.
Tell me about it. I don't think I've really slept since we were last talking, to be fair.
Brilliant.
But no, it's not going to affect the commentary, and I'm sure that's not going to play a part. At the end of the day, what's happening on track is on track, and it's not going to make a difference to what I'm saying. So we've got Little Leach currently setting the pace at the moment, but that is an outlap, 2:08.
Yeah.
Not too bad for an outlap here at Daytona. You do get held quite a bit in the pits, and the relativity of the speed on the track compared to the pits is pretty damn. It's quite contrasting, because obviously the part where you're crossing over the line is the oval circuit, so you're hitting top speeds of up to 175 miles an hour compared to 37 in the pit lane. As we see, Sooty Apex has just done the fastest time of the session there. It's 1:46.6, only 0.3 of a second ahead of Peaceful Explosion at the moment, and Peaceful Explosion is keeping him very much on his toes at the moment. Gary comes over the line, P3 at the moment, 47 dead. Whole time yesterday in the Pro-Am series was from Jamie Brazier was a 46. I think it was a 46.
3, 4, something like that.
So still a little shy of Jamie Brazier at the moment. We were saying yesterday, Matt, Jamie Brazier would be much better off being a reserve for the Tier 1 lads, because with his connection and the way it intermittently seems to decide when to work and when to not work, it would be better off just racing amongst the Tier 1 lads, having a race to it.
Dean's had a spin there.
Yeah, and then if he crashes it, then it wouldn't matter so much, because at the end of the day he's a reserve, but nothing to lose essentially. But nonetheless, racing in the Pro-Am category yesterday, dominated the race in the sprint race, or the race 1, excuse me, and then the race 2 was leading in the early stages, and unfortunately had a disconnection, his third disconnection in the space of 4 races over 2 weeks,
which has led to Welshie winning yet another race from a position where he shouldn't really have won one. Unorthodox is now back in as well. Welshie's just said that Jamie Brazy did a 1:46.693, so Sooty Apex has actually beat that time by 900ths of a second, as Gary gets a horrible twitch coming through the bus stop chicane, and that will be the end of that lap. That's ruined that one, so we'll have to go again next time around here. Unorthodox back in the session, so we are just awaiting Mazda now. Then there is 14 minutes left on the clock, so let's see what Mazda can do from here. Unorthodox can do from here, sorry.
Sooty's just smashed it out of the park there.
Quicker.
144 seconds ahead of Peaceful Explosion at the moment. That is an unbelievable lap time. But AH is putting his hat in the mix there. 46.7 from him, just ahead of Peaceful Explosion. 2/10 at the moment separating those boys. But AH looking pretty strong tonight. As you said, he's not at the easiest of seasons. He's usually up there battling it out, but just things haven't really gone his way so far in the races. It's not been. Jeff certainly hasn't had the rub of the green as he brings it into the pits. Keegs is P4 though, Matt. Very nice.
Good lap from Keegs, very good lap from Keegs. Gary struggling down in P7 at the moment. Phil, not qualified well as Phil in race 1s. We've seen him struggle at the first part of the season. He's coming to where we expect Phil to be in the recent weeks, but good qualifying so far for him. Currently sat in P5. Kieran Argent doing well in 7th place as well, as Little Leach just jumps Kieran Argent, as I say that, into P7. But the 2 Porsche guys, Gary and Little Leach, struggling at the moment and currently sit mid-pack. That's not where they'll be wanting to find themselves.
Absolutely not. These guys have had a good week so far from what we've seen. Tuesday night in the other league, they were 1 and 2 in the Clio race, the feature race. They did come together in race 1, however, so it wasn't all happy days for them. There was a little bit of doom and gloom preceding that. But yeah, 6th and 7th at the moment. I'm sure these guys, they're always so close, which makes sense because they are literally the same flesh and blood. They're brothers, so it makes perfect sense. I don't know if they're twins. They're not twins, are they?
No, they're not twins. Gary, the older of the 2.
I would imagine that, Little Leach being the younger. So yeah, what, 1/10 of a second separating these guys at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how this one goes. But
it's pretty close, actually. Sorry, Andy. It's pretty close between 2nd to 7th. There's only 6/10 of a second. It's actually not that big a margin. Peaceful Explosion has improved to go second and create that gap to 6/10 from Little Leach. But Sooty's done that good a job that 2nd to 7th place is only 6/10 of a second then, as Gary's just jumped up to P4 as I say that. So on the money now is Gary, up into P4. Really looks like he's struggling to get a Porsche turned in, and into the pits he goes. But a good start so far for Sooty Apex and Peaceful Explosion. I said last night that my money was on Peaceful. I don't know about yourself, but I've changeable weather conditions. Peaceful's my man at the moment.
Well, one thing we know about making predictions in any form of sim racing is that it undoubtedly is not going to be right. So I might as well try and get it wrong and then end up getting it right. So this means absolutely nothing when I say that I think Fury's going to take pole position and the victory tonight here in race 1.
Fair enough. Currently 4.6 off the pace at the moment and sat in the pit lane, so not the best of stuff from Fury. Unorthodox out on track, still not managed to get himself a lap time in as of yet, but Sooty Apex still sat in the pit lane. He must be chuffed to bits with that 1:55.4. Absolutely fantastic lap from him, as a bit of lag there would suggest to me. Here he is then. Gary must have been licking his lips at Mazda not being in the session, 5 points behind, but Mazda's now in, and he'll be looking to get straight on the pace. He needs a good couple of races here to beat Gary. Been practicing all week. He's done a bit on here, but he's been practicing all week for an event tomorrow night, a Le Mans 24-hour event, the full 24 hours. So I can understand why he's been practicing that one.
Respect to you guys for committing yourselves to that, but also you're completely nuts for doing that, but I respect it.
Yeah,
I respect the hustle.
We're off our heads, we are, over here at Simplay Motorsport. We're just crazy like that. Me, Keegs and Maz are all competing in that tomorrow night. I will put a link in the on the Simplay page and in the channel. I do believe it is being streamed, so whoever's streaming that and commentating on it, hats off to them, because if there's no action on track, that must be one heck of a commentary job. 24 hours.
I mean, if you need to fill the gaps, then the boys available for hire. Got nothing to do tomorrow night, so. If you need a commentator for like a short period of time, maybe, I don't know.
I don't know who's doing it. You'd have to speak with Master about who's doing it for that. But we see him on track at the moment, just struggling a bit. Unorthodox has jumped up into P10, so currently the quickest of the new guys. But Peaceful Explosion, can he gain any more on Sooty AH in the pits? Keek still 5th. Everybody on track bar AH. Dean Wasaki running in 9th.
He's just on his way out of the pits now. Currently in a good position at the moment, slotting in between Peaceful and Gary. Keeks is having a good session as well tonight, and he's something we've seen last week at Spa. He actually has got to grips, I think, with his demons in the wet conditions.
Yeah.
And really put in a good performance last time out. Comes over the line, can't improve that time around. Still sat P5. He might have got a bit of a slipstream as he came over the line, but he wasn't able to use it to his full benefit.
Yeah.
Got a disadvantage. I think that's Emo guy in the foreground.
I think as well. Yes, it is. He's managed to get his qualifying pace. Well, we saw him qualify on the front row with Mazda last week, then had a poor race 1 and managed to qualify, I think, pole position for race 2. He's really seemed to get control that BMW and get to grips with it. It's took him a while, but it seems there. Let's see what he can do tonight ahead of tomorrow night. And he's got a good teammate in Mazda to keep his head on his shoulders and push him through the struggles of what could be. I tell you what, Sooty Apex, no one can get near that time, a 1:55.4. That is outstanding from him. Just looking at the rest of the pack, 7/10 separate the top 8 as Unorthodox now into 8th place, and knocking Kieran Argent and Dean Wasaki down to 9th and 10th respectively. But let's see what Sooty does. Can he improve as he's about to cross the line? If he does improve, that'll be one heck of a lap. No improvement from Sooty Apex there this time around. I think that's possibly all that Lamborghini's got. You're going to struggle to probably get something out of this. Here's Gary. He's coming towards the end of his lap as well. He'll be absolutely thrilled now that Mazda's in. In fact, Little Leach has gone quicker than Gary somewhere, but let's see, can Gary jump over Little Leach once?
Here he comes.
No improvement.
These guys, I always say it, Little Leach and Gary are literally always separated by about 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, there's not much in it. Not much in it.
No.
I'll tell you one thing I'm surprised at here, Andy, is that teammates don't seem to use each other a lot on the toe. You know, maybe sacrifice. It's a long 20-minute qualifying session. Maybe sacrifice just one of your own lap. Give your teammate a good toe, maybe the final part of the oval. To sacrifice one lap. Unfortunately for AH, for Unorthodox and D Bigs, they can't do that. They are obviously independent drivers. But yeah, I'm surprised that the teammates aren't giving each other a slipstream just to probably try and get that time.
Yeah, I think
Keegs has actually just gone to 2nd, sorry, and he's 8/10 exactly off the back of Sooty Apex. So that's one heck of a lap time from Keegs already in this session, and we've just commented on his qualifying pace and his race pace improving. Gary now down into P6.
Fantastic.
Great lap from Keegs there.
Really good stuff. Yeah, I was saying that track position is going to be at a premium in this session. Now, obviously, you've got the infield section, which is extremely tricky, and it's very difficult to hook up, which means that a lot of these guys will not have the confidence that, as we see, that is
Unorthodox.
Out of shape there, Unorthodox. But it's, as you can see there, it's a very difficult track to get right, and the balance is you've got to have a nice stiff setup for the infield section, but also you need the top end coming around the oval part. So it's one of those where it's pretty much every man for himself. I think everyone's going to be more hell-bent on making sure that they actually get in a solid lap time rather than shifting times with their teammates. You need to bank a lap in first. Maybe in the last few minutes of the session, Matt, we might be seeing what you're referring to there, because guys like Sooty, Keegs, Peaceful Explosion, AH seem to have hit their ceiling in this session. There's no real improvements coming in anymore, so maybe now they might start giving the toe to their teammates, as you say.
Yeah.
Got Peaceful at the moment. Currently sat 3rd. Where's he? Has he got his teammate near him on the track at the moment? Forever Ford Racing.
Argent is his teammate. Nowhere near him on track. The one man who's got a banker in at the moment is Mazda. You'd say down in P12. That's a bit of a poor qualifying by his standards. Emo guy split Argent and Dean then into P10. Where is Mazda on track? That looked like he was coming through the... Yeah, that's coming onto the oval now. The back part of it was coming through what would be turn 3-4 on the oval circuit. So is it?
It'll be a first fall up in anger, I reckon.
Yeah, so
bit
of toe from Dean Wasocki, the only Acora tonight. Like I say, Monkey Boy not able to be with us tonight. So let's see what Mazda can do here. He's really going to be wanting to climb up that grid and get closer to Gary. He needs to be close to his championship rival. And as I say that, he goes within a tenth of Gary, right behind him on the grid. So a fantastic lap.
They packed from second all the way down to 11th, separated by a second. It's unbelievably close. Sutty Apex. Yeah, Sutty Apex has just stole the march on everybody though. He is absolutely romping it here in this qualifying session, but it's definitely going to be a tricky one to keep that lead in the race. It's going to be a battle of the slipstream, and I'm sure that he's not going to be able to ride off into the sunset with this race one. As he comes over the line, he can't improve that time around. 4 minutes left to go here in this session. He's going to have the chance to get 3 more laps in before we hit the checkered flag in this round 9 of the Pro Series here at Simplay Motorsport, the GT3 Series tonight. Guys, if you like what you see here on the channel, it's early doors yet tonight, but please drop a like on this video if you enjoy it. We've got 16 people watching, currently 4 likes in the video, so let's try and get 16 likes on this video if we can, guys. Drop a like and yeah, subscribe to the channel if it's your first time.
Definitely do that. That's Kieran just going a bit slow there, I noticed. No real improvements coming up on the line here, and Orthodubs is just in front of Keegs. Keegs behind Kieran Argent. Dean Wasocki's gone back to the pit, so he should come out and maybe get 1-2 runs in at least. He's leaving the pits now. Any improvement from Keegs? No, didn't see anything as he's crossed the line. Sutty Apex is coming round. That's out the chicanes, at the bus stop chicane, so he's coming around now. No, that's coming onto the oval. That's coming onto the oval. Apologies. That's just coming onto the oval then. So can he pick up anything here? Keegs currently 8 tenths back. Peaceful third, a second off of him. AH 1.2 behind. Little Each just a tenth behind AH. Gary a couple of hundredths behind Little Each. Mazda a tenth off of Gary. Phil then only 18 hundredths off of oh, that's not where you want to be seeing. That's not what Phil's going to want to see.
Oh, he's out of the way quickly there. Thankfully he moves out of the way, but that was a very precarious spot there for Phil to be parked on.
Is that that's just out the bus stop chicane, if I'm right? Oh no, is it?
Coming out onto the oval.
That's yeah, you know, you're right. But Phil sits 8th on Orthodubs then, in 9th place, currently 1.7 off the leader, and only 2 tenths behind Phil. Argent in 10th place, just 2.5 tenths behind on Orthodubs, and Emo Guy just a couple of hundredths off the back of Argent. Dean Wasocki then in 12th. 6 tenths off the back of Emo Guy, needs to find a bit of pace, but Dean could struggle in that Acora tonight. D Biggs then sits 3.1 off the leader, and about 7 tenths off the back of Dean Wasocki. Excuse me, it's not where he'll want to be. And Fury learning the GTR tonight, teaming up with Emo Guy for EF Racing, currently sits 14th and 3.4 off the back of the leaders, as D Biggs has just improved and jumps over Dean Wasocki then by a tenth. So Dean sent me a picture actually last night saying that he did a 46.9 on a qualifying pace as D Biggs bins it on the exit to turn 1 into the wall. Manages to stay out the way, nobody coming. So Dean, let's see what he can do. Sutty and D Biggs now in the pits. They're not going to be able to get back out and get another lap time in here then. But Dean Wasocki is coming around to finish the lap. So let's see what Dean Wasocki can do here then. A 48 dead so far for Dean. Really needs to be on the pace in this Acora. It's going to struggle because it lacks that bit of top end that the other cars have. And no improvement this time around for him. He's got one last chance to get it right. Emo Guy. Here's on Orthodubs. Gary. Is that Gary coming towards? Yeah, Gary and Little Each coming towards the end of a lap, it looks like.
Yeah, Little Each just coming down the final section of the oval now, I think, or is it the back straight? No, it's the back straight.
That's the back straight, yeah. I think Gary's a bit further in front, isn't he? Oh, that's definitely Peaceful who's further in front. Keegs also in the pits, so Keegs feels he can't get anything else from this. Peaceful Explosion.
Currently set P3 here in this session, just over a second off of that provisional pole time being set by Sutty Apex. What's he going to be able to do here? As we see Kieran Argent bringing it into the pits, he doesn't think he can improve. Solid qualify actually from Kieran Argent tonight. P5, not too far off the leaders. Peaceful Explosion coming over the line. He's going to get one more attempt. It's not an improvement that time though. AH out there also. He's on his final run. We've got Little Leech. We'll get round after this one. What's this one going to be though? He comes over the line now and he goes P6, can't improve. Gary has already crossed the line and he's on his final run as well. So we've got lots of these guys on their final runs of the session, but they've got a lot of time to try and make up on the provisional pole sitter, Sutty Apex. It's not going to be easy to find a second around this track.
Little Each has called it. Little Each has took it back to the pits, so he clearly feels he cannot improve this time round. AH has gone back into the pits as well, so the grid is slowly empty of people who can do lap times here. Phil's just pitted. He feels he can't improve as well. So we have still got Peaceful, Gary, Mazda, Emo Guy, Dean Wysocki and Fury all out on track. Qualifying is over. Here is Fury. This is Dean Wysocki. He's about to finish his last lap then. Has he got anything in that Acura to climb up the grid just a slight bit, or is it going to be a back row start for him? No. Yes, just a slight improvement ahead of D Biggs for 47.8 for Dean. Decent lap time from him, and just jumps D Biggs at the very end then. Fury.
Right here. He's coming into the bus stop chicane down in P14. It's very unlike Fury to see him in that position. He's just getting used to the Nissan GTR lately, Matt. We've seen, I've become all too accustomed to him driving in that Lamborghini, his customary black and red 666 livery, but driving in the number 75 Nissan GTR tonight. We'll see what he's going to be capable of as he flashes his lights there. He knows you're watching him. He knows Big Brother is casting his eye upon him as he comes up on the line now. What's it going to be for Fury? Currently sat P14. Can he improve?
He does improve.
He does improve. He proves, but he doesn't move his position up.
No,
so he stays P14.
Doesn't change his position. Keegs has just said in the chat, can I just say I've done one practice session, so he'll take that. Gary. Yep, great last lap from Gary Apex. From Gary then mixed in with Sutty's name there. Great lap from Gary at the end. What can Mazda do? Has he got anything? 1.4 off the leader. What can he do as he crosses the line? We'll find out in just one moment. Keegs has done one practice session and sits on the front row of the grid. No, he doesn't! Mazda sits on the front row of the grid. 0.5, half a second behind Sutty Apex. So a great lap there from Mazda. But I tell you what, Andy, no one could touch that time of Sutty Apex there.
No, he's absolutely dominant in that session. Not quite as dominant as we were expecting him to be once the classification pulled up. He had 8 cents of a second to Keegs for most of that session, but Mazda there putting something out of the bag right at the end, displacing his teammate and leading Iron Bruce Charge into this race one here tonight. It's going to be a cracker of a race. I'm sure that Mazda's going to give Sutty a hell of a run for his money. And who knows, we might even see Mazda doing Sutty's signature move into turn 1, lap 1.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
To cover it off.
That would be interesting. So a quick run through on the grid then. Sutty Apex, the man who takes pole in the Lamborghini. Mazda will line up on the front row of the grid with him. Then Keegs, don't discredit Keegs even though he dropped to third there. Great job from him in this qualifying session. And then such a tight midfield. Peaceful Explosion in 4th, AH 5th. Not far off of each other. None of these guys are. Gary lines up 6th, so losing out a bit to his championship rival there, Peaceful and Mazda, but 6th place nonetheless is a decent place to start on the grid. Kieran Argent lines up in 7th with Little Each 8th. Phil then in 9th place on Orthodubs in only his second outing here at Simplay Motorsport, lines up in 10th with Emo Guy in 11th. Dean Wysocki comes in on 12th, D-Biggs 13th and Fury 14th.
Fury's granddad there in the comments section saying, after your prediction, Andy, I won't be asking you for the last 3 numbers.
Absolutely brilliant. Top stuff there. So as we get ready for the drivers then to just maybe tweak a few things now. Just watch out for a bit of lag. I actually watched the stream back last night and Welshie picked up a 5-second penalty in damage when the drivers, obviously we didn't see it on the spot, but Jamie Brazy's car sort of lands on Welsh's and then pushes Welsh's car into the wall before the drivers have even got control of the car. It was a very strange one, and yes, so hopefully none of that bugs out tonight, and hopefully we get...
It was a bit of a weird one, I must say, because when we saw that happening, there was, I think, a few of the guys had already crossed the line to start the race, so I made the mistake of assuming that they'd crashed into each other under green flag conditions, but maybe as you say, they had no control over the cars, and as you say, you've looked at the replay, so that's a confusing one. I know that a lot of Project Cars 2 leagues across all 3 platforms on PC, PS4 and Xbox do actually implement manual formation lap, which is where the drivers drive around themselves for a full lap rather than just the last corner or so. I mean, it is a long-winded method, and you do have to have quite a high level of organisation for that to actually be successful. I mean, if you've got a good bunch of guys, then it's easily done. But you know, if you've got a lot of people who don't really race together, then that's a whole different story. Having said that, though, these guys do seem to know each other pretty well. So, I mean, I'm not sure. It's a tricky one.
It is, but it's something they'd have to sort out, obviously, and would be probably discussed. Masters just texted me saying, not bad, sir, I've been driving LMP1. Now, him and Keegs, not much practice this week, but I tell you what, line up second and third, they will absolutely take that one. What can Peaceful do? So here we go then. Everybody looks like they're away here at the moment as they're going to roll towards the start line then. Let's see what they can do from this point. It's going to be an interesting start. You hear the lights start to come on now. And we're away here at Daytona Road Course for round 9 of the Pro category. Look at Peaceful Explosion's got an absolute great start there. Drops down in front of Keegs and looks like he's going to go side by side with Mazda. Just nudges the rear end of Such the Apex, possibly later on the brakes. And AH has capitalised on that. And the 3 BMWs currently 2nd, 3rd and 4th as we speak at the moment. Great start though. Everybody away cleanly as I say that. I think Fury's had a bit of a spin in the background. But everybody away pretty clean off the line there then. So all good so far.
Keegs has got around AH there up into 3rd place. Mazda went a little bit wide coming through turn 1, but he got away with it. Managed to keep it just ahead of AH, and obviously Keegs was on the attack. It looks like AH is actually hold on for that P3 there ahead of Keegs though. And it looks like we got Peaceful Explosion attacking in the background. He made a hell of a start off the line. And it looks like we got AH wide there, coming through the hairpin, all onto the grass down the outside, and up Kieran Archer has managed to take P3 there. He's gained loads of positions in that debacle. Looks like Keegs is down to 5th place. Gary into 7th place. Unorthodox jumps into P7. Look at that, Unorthodox making a move up the inside, coming out onto the oval section. Gary down to P8.
That's Dean.
D-Biggs. And it looks like, yeah, Dean was...
Is that Dean on... Was that Dean on Little... No, it was D-Biggs on Gary then, was making the move. Dean with a bit of a flash there on Little Each. D-Biggs I saw up the inside of Gary coming onto the oval and has not only passed Gary but dropped him as well. AH and Kieran Argent here, side by side as they're on the oval section. They're going to be coming down towards the bus stop chicane here. Great start for Kieran, as you said, Andy. And I tell you what, they're going to lean on each other. Look at Keegs under braking. Absolutely brilliant on the brakes. Kieran had to take to the grass a little bit there as he was side by side with AH. Let's AH have the position. That's more compromised him than anything. Keegs was so late on the brakes there. I thought he was bound to run into the back of one of them guys there, but he's managed to get through. And I tell you what, Kieran's struggling. He's dropped off the top section here, and he's now on the bottom part of the oval, and he rejoins, but it's lost out on 2 places, 3 places now, as Keegs, Peaceful Explosion and Unorthodox have passed him. Unorthodox trying to go low and follow Peaceful Explosion through as they head to turn 1. There could be 3 abreast here, but not. Peaceful and Unorthodox through. And Peaceful looked like...
pushed him a little bit wide there as they came through turn 1 there, Matt, but he got...
Oh, he's lost it! Oh, Unorthodox has lost it! And that's caught Keegs out!
Oh, no! And Keegs unfortunately getting caught up.
Oh, that's Kieran! Kieran, D-Biggs! Gary's involved in this. The championship leader's involved. He's probably praying to Little Each here. Give me the place, bro. I need the points. I need the points.
Kieran Archer down to P10 there, though. Matt now up to P9, but it looks like that's a disaster there for those guys. Gary and Little Each getting caught up massively in that one. That will probably play into the hands of Peaceful Explosion later on in this race. He's in 4th place at the moment, just a couple of seconds behind the race leader, Such the Apex, who's got Mazda right up his chuff. But the battle for 3rd and 4th, currently AH and Peaceful Explosion, but drama in the mid-pack here, guys. Gary up into P6, he's managed to get around all of these guys. Kieran Argent, Little Each, Phil, and Emo Guy maybe creeping into contention. A couple of guys behind these guys, a couple of seconds behind these lads. But just a second separating 4 cars here, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Gary Argent, Little Each and Phil, and it looks like we've got a battle going on between Unorthodox and Fury by the looks of it as well, Matt.
Yeah, Unorthodox trying to rejoin and trying to make the best of it. But Gary, I noticed, Emo Guys had a spin. I noticed Gary had taken a higher line coming onto the oval, and it's clearly not worked for him. Has Gary got a problem?
Little Leach has breezed past him there, coming up towards the chicane. We're going to be
side by side with Kieran. Oh, they lean!
Bit of a contact there, and it looks like Little Leach gets away just behind Kieran Argent there. That was very close as Gary had to slot in there behind Phil. But it looks like he's actually got ahead of Phil there.
Does Gary have a problem because he lost the 2 places to Kieran and Little Each, or was that just the effect of the slipstream? If so, that was mega, possibly, because Little Each has a twitch on the oval and he's managed to keep it out the wall. Who's that coming in the pits? Phil, Kieran in the pits. There was a BMW, I think. Is that Keegs as well in the pit lane? It is. Keegs is in the pits. Has it started to rain early? I can't see nothing on my screen.
No, it has. I've seen some rain on the camera.
Oh, there is, yeah.
We've got rain already here at Daytona at the same time as we did yesterday. Now these guys have got the benefit of having seen what happened yesterday. DJ Phil ended up staying out until I think the end of lap 5, was it, yesterday?
Yeah,
and,
something like that.
Ultimately, and he lost so much time at the end of the lap. You could see he was tiptoeing around the what is turn 4 on the oval track. So now the question is, do these guys pull the trigger now, or do they wait until lap 4? There is time for teammates to make stops and not lose too much time. The pit window is reasonably flexible, actually, in this stage of the race.
The bonus for Mazda here is Keegs has done his pit stop, so Mazda can pit end of this lap if he wants to. Phil has also done his pit stop for Sutty, and so has Kieran Argent for Peaceful Explosion. AH being an independent means he can pit whenever. But I tell you what, them guys have either called it bang on just as the rain comes down. I don't think Mazda, Sutty, Peaceful, who's really gaining on AH here. Great defensive drive so far from AH. I don't think these guys are going to get too caught out by the weather at the moment, because they are on the oval circuit. Takes a bit longer to get that part wet than the others. But we'll keep an eye on Phil, Kieran and Keegs. Keegs actually been jumped in the pits by Phil and Kieran Argent then. Yeah,
it looks like Keegs has had an absolute mare in the box, but one thing that we learned from yesterday is that lap 4, I think, was the ideal time to actually bring it into the pits. Oh, we see Keegs getting loose there.
He's gone round.
Keegs is round, and so it's gone from bad to worse here for Keegs. He had a poor pit stop. He's now losing hand over fist to Phil and Argent, but it looks like Sutty, Apex, AH, Peaceful, and Mazda all bringing into the pits to the end of lap 3. I thought lap 4 was the ideal time to bring it in last time, but maybe it was lap 3. Who knows? All 4 of those guys bringing it in.
Well, I'll tell you one man who's not. Little Leach has stayed out. Gary has stayed out with him. So the teammate's not pitting here. Gary and Little Leach haven't pitted. And surely that's the wrong strategy in the Porsche. Surely one of them's had to pit this lap, because if one pits at the end of this lap, Andy, the other one's going to have to do an even longer run on the dry tyre in the wet conditions. Emo Guy as well has stayed out. So a very interesting choice from Emo Guy. Unorthodox in the pits as well. Fury looks like he's staying out as well.
This one's a bit of a head scratcher for me, Matt, because certainly lap 5 would be far too late for any of these guys to come out. We saw yesterday evening when DJ Phil stayed out until lap 5, and it really cost him. It cost him what was probably second place by the end of that race. So,
Peaceful's got a problem in the pits. He's just commented on the stream. He's got a problem in the pit lane. He's away now, but was right on the back of AH. AH effectively has jumped Sutty. Mazda's also jumped Sutty in the pit lane then. So Sutty's lost 2 places, and Peaceful Explosion, problems in the pits for him. But I tell you what, Gary, at Little Each, Gary, Emo Guy, Fury, they possibly are going to struggle. Bearing in mind, Emo Guy, Fury, teammates as well, cannot pit on the same lap. Oh, this could be a disaster for them here. Keegs has lost out to Unorthodox, who's still currently in the pit lane. So can Keegs regain that place after we've seen him have a spin? But Gary and Little Each have surely got to come in. They don't look like they're tiptoeing like DJ Phil was.
Well, yesterday we saw that the ideal time to pit was lap 4. So one of these guys, Little Leach and Gary, is going to get the benefit of coming in at the perfect moment. One of them is going to be tiptoeing round at the end of lap 5 in a lap's time. We saw yesterday what happened to DJ Phil. One of these lads is going to go through that pain in a lap's time. Who is going to bear the brunt? I would imagine it would have to be Gary that's going to have to go through it, because Little Leach has got that position.
Surely,
give priority to the leader. Surely
Gary's not. Little Leach isn't pitting. Gary doesn't look like he's coming in neither.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
What is going on here?
Wow, these guys are staying out. The only thing I can think of here: have these guys stayed on the wet? Started on the wet tyre?
Now you're talking.
With it raining so early, have they started? Yeah, they was. Had a poor. Dean Wasoki's back in the pit lane. Don't forget, to everybody, they do have to race to lap 13 to score full points. Just a comment on Peaceful's pit stop. He's lost not only to AH, but he's also lost to Phil and his teammate Kieran Argent down in P10 at the moment. Emo Guy and Fury did not pit. Now look at this battle. Sutty is somewhere past AH and Mazda. We saw at the Nürburgring the BMW struggles in the wet conditions, and Sutty has passed both AH and Mazda, and this is a good little trio battle here. Dean Wasocki now a lap down, needs to get to lap 13 to get the points on the board. Mazda's going to look round the outside but can't get it done, and has he left the door open for AH? Indeed he has. A bit of a tap, bit of aquaplaning under brakes from AH. Nothing more than that, I'd say, but a good manoeuvre. Had to force Mazda to go a bit wider, and AH still hasn't got the job done, as Mazda will have the inside line through the left-hand kick that is flat out, and there's room given. Oh, that is... he's
uncompromising.
That is
stuff there from AH. That was great.
Oh, Mazda's wide.
Oh, Mazda's off.
This BMW, I tell you, this BMW, we've seen it struggle at Nürburgring in the wet. Mazda was that far in front at Spa. The rain we didn't really see him get affected in the rain. But Mazda struggling in the wet weather so far, and Sutty's back to where he was. And after everybody pits, you'd imagine Sutty will be provisionally P1. Mandatory pit stop is on, so Little Leach and Gary have to pit here. So do Emo Guy and Fury, but have they done their homework as well? Lapping in the 152s, 53s, 54s. That's about the wet weather sort of pace. So I wonder that, did they stay on the start on the wet tyre? If so, what a tactic. And Little Leach currently 8 seconds out in front. These guys do have to pit, but surely they'll pit for the slicks when it dries at the end.
Something to Gary on this lap. He's lost about 5 seconds to Little Leach. It was 3 or 4 seconds on the previous lap.
Oh yeah, look, 6 seconds slower.
Yeah, that is a bit of a head scratcher there for Gary. I'm not sure what happened.
I wonder if he's caught a puddle that he's not seen or been aware of. And oh, he's ran wide there, actually. He's ran very wide there.
He's all over the show. He's definitely on the right tyres. He's definitely on the wets, because at this point, with the track being as damp as it is, those dry tyres would be on an absolute knife's edge. You wouldn't even be making it around the corners. So he's definitely on the right tyres. Maybe the setup is a little bit found wanting here. Little Leach seems to be excelling in these changeable conditions at the moment. But his brother, for whatever reason, not quite able to extract the best from this car at this particular point in the race. Emo Guy currently running highest of the drivers who have been into the pits, I think. Oh, has he?
Yeah, Sutty is now. Fury and Emo Guy haven't pitted as well, so maybe they've done their homework and started on the wet tyre as well. Maybe surely they've done their homework, lapping around similar pace to the leaders and all the guys on the wet tyre. Sutty Apex is really gaining on Fury though. Peaceful Explosion, he's got to make up places. He's gone horribly wrong. No, he hasn't been to church. He's being caught up by Keegs. In fact, here 2:05 last lap. Really horrible lap there for Peaceful Explosion. Sutty then gaining on Fury. Yeah, there he is, coming onto the oval. Really starting to reel in Fury. A couple of seconds quicker last lap, separated by 2.3 seconds. Are these two on track then? Now, the only thing I can say, Andy, is that the top four have all started on the wet tyre. Now, will that favour them going later in the race if the track dries? We've seen it dry quite quickly last night, and that DJ Phil and Liam and Welshie Stovesoft all pitted for the dry tyre and was actually on the quicker tyre at the end. So I wonder if that's Gary, Little Leach, Emo Guy and Fury's tactic to get on the dries at the end, whereas these guys may stay on the wets till the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see. But,
it looks like Sutty's going slowly coming out of the oval section, and AH has got a good run here as they come out of the final banking. Maybe AH is going to have the run here. I don't know if Sutty had a slowdown penalty there, Matt, coming out of the bus stop. Maybe he cut the chicane.
Oh, potentially.
Maybe became a cropper on the inside of the bus stop chicane, but whatever it is, it looks like AH is going to have the run on the outside. Sutty, though, has superior straight line speed in that Lamborghini, and he's going to hold it on the inside. It looks like...
No, he's not.
Oh, AH has overshot the corner massively there. He's going wide, and Sutty is going to routinely take that position, surely.
Yeah,
yes, he does.
In fact, no, they're side by side. So no, Sutty's giving him back. Sutty's heading back through side by side. D Biggs in the pits again here, so I'm not quite sure what that is. The rain looks like it's no, it's rain still falling. I've just noticed. D Biggs in the pits again. Strange to see that Audi in the pits again. Dean Wysocki well off the pace as well, so not the race Dean Wysocki would have been wanting.
Yeah, that Audi team definitely been given a workout. Unfortunately, D Biggs for some reason has gone the wrong direction with the setup, maybe the wrong tyres, but having said that, it looks like he's actually encountering some lengthy repairs in that pit box.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the problem.
Yeah, Dean Wysocki has had an absolute mare as well so far, mate.
We knew the Acura would struggle. We knew the Acura would struggle here, but
not this much, though.
No, not this much. From what he's been telling me he's been doing in practice, his pace has been decent, similar to the leaders and the midfield. In fact, there's not much to really tell between the leaders and the midfield in terms of pace. Look at Peaceful's last lap as I look at it, actually, 2:03.7. The man I tipped to do well in the wet is really struggling here. I know he's had problems in the pits, but he's struggling on Orthodubs, 6.5 seconds behind, so we'll see what Unorthodubs can do in terms of gaining on Peaceful Explosion. But Dean and D Biggs have to get to lap 13.
Makes no sense. Peaceful Explosion was a bit of a rainmaster. We saw at Silverstone earlier in the season. That was, I think, round one of the season, wasn't it?
Well, round 1 and 2, he took a first and a third, and looked absolutely brilliant at Silverstone in the wet. Look, you know, and here he just hasn't looked comfortable.
Polar opposite.
Yeah.
Really strange
one.
But,
yeah.
He's
I wonder if the night conditions don't suit the car. Darker, track temperature a bit lower maybe. I wonder if that's the problem with the Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, the tyres are struggling to warm up a little bit. He might have, but then again, you know, wet tyres, it should be the same. Everyone's more or less in the same boat here. So I'm not sure. Maybe
he's gone the wrong way, possibly with the downforce on the car. Then maybe if he sets it up maybe a bit better for the dry than what he has the wet. Keegs has damaged that car, and the headlights on that car are non-existent anymore. Looks like he's had a bit of a spin there. Maybe he's clipped a puddle and had a spin, but that's a strange one. If he's got a pit for if he's got a pit for repairs, Peaceful Explosion and Orthodubs will gain an extra position there. Keegs after such a strong qualifying as well, down the order here. So not the first race he'd have wanted, but if he can qualify as good as he did for race 2, could be on the front row of the grid then for that one. Little Leach currently your leader by 15 seconds from Gary. Gary does not have an answer to Little Leach tonight. He's again there 3.3 seconds slower than Little Leach last time around, so Gary really doesn't have an answer for him, and if anything he's now falling further back to Emo Guy than what he is to gaining on Little Leach here.
Little Leach in a class of his own at the moment, Matt. Seems to be have something in these wet conditions that nobody else has. It was similar to what Gary had at the Nürburgring a couple of rounds ago. We saw Gary, just no one could touch him in those wet conditions.
Oh, he's had a spin! He's had a spin!
Oh, no! Oh, no!
We seen him last week struggle at Spa, and Gary's had a spin here, and that's not what he wants. As Emo Guy's now gaining on him. He's about 5-6 seconds behind him as Emo Guy's. He's come out the bus stop chicane. Emo Guy has Fury and Sutty with him, and in fact AH pretty much close together. So this, a good little battle on track. Mazda's sort of been dropped by these guys, so not the weather for Mazda here, and Sutty's dropped AH after he struggled to get past him. On board AH here, you see Sutty, he kind of looks left, looks right, he's going to be squeezed to the pit wall, and kind of has to give Fury a little nudge. Look pal, I'm here, don't squeeze me anymore, otherwise we'll both be in trouble here. Emo Guy's Nissan looks in worse shape than Fury's. In the one in front looks battered and bruised, and he's gone deep.
Fury and Sutty both up the inside there. It looks like he got a horrible run there coming through turn 1. It looks like CH almost getting involved there. 2 wide coming in towards the hairpin, and a Sutty Apex has managed to get. It looks like AH just overshot his braking marker by 1,000,000 miles there.
He'd gone for the Sutty send it, and it did not work at all. Tried to Sutty send one on the Master, and well, you can't do it to him. He knows better than that, and Sutty stayed on the brakes or off the power, because if he'd have got on that power, him and Fury could have been T-boned into the barrier there. Sutty flicking all sorts of cones up.
Fury pulls off Sutty's move, and it looks like he's done it to perfection. He goes a little bit wide. Sutty Apex is going to try and undercut him on the exit of the corner. It has Sutty Apex managed that cut back to perfection. He has indeed. Sutty Apex is not going to be done like that. Fury almost managed to pull off the Sutty send it to perfection there. Emo Guy now in the background trying to feast on the remains of these guys, but can't quite get it done. Sutty Apex holding on to that P3. I thought for a second there that Fury had become the master.
Yeah. Fury, the student, had become the master there, and I tell you what, he nearly pulled it off, but just ran a bit too deep on Sutty. Sutty too wise for someone to play his own trick on him, and now currently runs P3 and only has the Leach brothers to pass us. D-Biggs is in the pits again. I don't know about Hot Wheels on the side of his car. He may have cold wheels on the what's on the car. Hot Wheels the sponsor, but Cold Wheels on physically. His night has gone from bad to worse. He needs to get to lap 13 to score points, don't forget. Sutty Apex, look at the slipstream taking effect here. No slipstream for Sutty Apex, but a massive one here for Fury. And Fury really reeling him in. That's Gary 131 just ahead. The rain has stopped, the track's drying. Is D-Biggs pitting for the slick tyre? Nothing to lose here. Gary's in the pits, so is Gary going slicks? I don't know if the starting on the wet tyre has worked for Gary here, but he's lost more Fury into the rear.
Yeah, Sutty Apex is round! Sutty Apex into the pit wall there! On the exit, it looked like Fury tagged him a little bit! Just sent him going round, and he was a little bit out of shape. Sutty Apex down to 5th place, takes the pit road on the exit, but Fury there was a little bit naughty, very sportsmanlike though, in allowing Sutty Apex to reassume that position. But that was a little bit dodgy there from Fury, and these guys now dicing it out over 4th and 5th places. That's released Emo Guy into P2. It's released AH up into 3rd after going wide at the hairpin a couple of laps ago. So certainly AH has been patient and waited for these guys to get their fair share of the bad luck tonight. Fury and Sutty Apex, unfortunately, are just getting in a tangle coming through turn 1. Fury a little bit too late on the brakes, sent Sutty Apex going.
They spun! Sutty's off! Sutty's off. We see on the bottom of the screen. He must have hit a puddle because he was sideways in the braking zone there. That's Mazda gaining on Sutty now. And I tell you what, Gary's down into P9 on Orthodubs and Keys. Back in the pits. That's the big spinning as well. They all seem to be spinning there. There's got to be a puddle on the braking zone of that corner because that's a strange place to just spin off in the fashion that Sutty Apex and D-Biggs have. But I tell you what here, Sutty Apex really giving the fans the money's worth that's came to Daytona. No COVID restrictions on project cars. The fans are allowed in their numbers, and they'll be loving what they've seen between Fury and Sutty Apex here. Maybe a steward's inquiry after the end of the race, but we'll wait and see. On Orthodubs still in the pits. Keegs has pitted. D-Biggs has pitted. Again, we know. So maybe the slick tyre for these guys, possibly going for a fastest lap. Dean Wasocki has stayed out and is only 28 seconds behind on Orthodubs. That's D-Biggs off again. Oh, he's struggling tonight, is D-Biggs. That's coming on the exit to the bus stop chicane. The two big puddles are the one coming on the oval and the exit to the bus stop chicane, and they're the two that seems to have caught D-Biggs out. Got to be on the slick tyre, the way the car's losing it all the time there. Emo Guy and Little Leach.
In the pits.
Yeah, so maybe damage, or is he going for the slick tyre? We'll see. Mazda now up into 5th. Not the race Sutty would have wanted. That should promote Gary up to P8 then. Emo Guy, Little Leach and Fury still to pit here. So, interesting that they haven't. Then we're nearly at full race distance for the top 12, or maybe top 11. I don't know if an Orthodubs has been lapped. I do believe he has, actually. But drama then at the Daytona Road Course. Sutty now down to P8. Hopefully he can get out here and is away. He's not moving in the pit lane yet. Gary's going to pass him. Who was that off? Was that on Orthodubs having a spin? Not
Mazda's
quite
flying
sure.
at the moment. Mazda's lapping faster than anybody except Phil and Arjun at the moment. He's lapping in the 52s.
Brilliant.
Closing in on Ian, AH and Fury at this point.
Indeed,
so
yes.
Mazda on a mission.
Sutty's still in the
looks
pits.
Like Fury's lost it. Fury's lost it coming out onto the oval track, Matt.
Oh, he has.
He's spun it, getting onto the throttle, and he's sent it round. He's lost lots of time. He's down to 5th place. He was on the back of Emo Guy a few moments ago.
Little Leach is in the pits here from the lead, so we'll see what happens here in terms of him coming back out and regaining that. That's the end of lap 11 that he's pitted on. Sutty Apex is still in the pit lane. What is gone wrong for Sutty's race? He's still sat in the pits. No. It was so well until that battle with Fury. Maybe damage has paid its toll. Maybe a mechanical problem in the pit lane as well. He's away now. Will unlap himself from Little Leach, who's there. But I tell you what, it's gone from bad to worse. He'll get to qualify. The man on pole isn't going to do anything in this race. You think AH having a strong performance here. Little Leach, though, is out the pits. And with Emo Guy still to pit, who's in now, Little Leach may regain the lead here. Or where's AH though?
H is in the lead.
Oh, H has taken the lead, yeah. Great strategy.
So been into the pit stop, I think. I believe he came in early, didn't he? So
he did. Came in at the end of lap 3. I've got down on my notes. Little Leach, I tell you what though, Little Leach qualified mid-pack and he's now running P2. Great strategy from the Leach brothers. Gary couldn't make it work, Little Leach could. Now then, Sutty's teammate all over the back of Fury. Fury, the only man who hasn't pitted here then. Can Phil make it work where Sutty couldn't? Can his teammate master the Sutty send it manoeuvre on Fury? We'll wait to see. Kieran Argent not far behind this little battle then in P6. Emo Guy's down to 7th. Gary running 8th. Mazda up into 3rd. This is going to do his championship the world of good with a P3 here. To say he's not really practiced this track. Oh, who's that off? Who's that?
Oh, no.
That's AH.
It's AH.
I think AH, yeah, the leader rejoining there, and Little Leach is tucked underneath. Little Leach has gone full DeLorean and has slid underneath at 88 miles an hour and regains the lead then. What a strategy from Leach Motorsport. They've played an absolute blinder here in this race starting on the wets, and that's worked wonders for them. I tell you what, how has Little Leach got this strategy right? Because Tier 2 last year, Motive Racing, when it rained at Monza Short, when he could have won the championship, he started on the slick tyre when it was pouring with rain. Who's pulled this strategy out of the bag? Because that can't be these two.
I think just experience gives you that, doesn't it? I suppose the pain and the suffering of a traumatic experience always leads you to come back stronger. So Little Leach there just proving that he's learned from his mistakes there. And this is a profound strategic decision there. AH is going to be gutted that he's thrown this one away.
Watch the man in the background.
He's still very much in contention though, but Mazda is flying, Matt, as you say.
Yeah. Phil set the fastest lap. In fact, no, Keegs was the fastest man on track last time around in the 49s. But you watch Phil and Mazda here. In fact, Mazda's 51.5. What's Phil going to do? 53.5, not the best one that time. Watch the man in the background of Little Leach and AH. The man's going to want to take a race win. He's on the podium at the minute. Smoky Devil kicked from the session, obviously not involved. We may have to get him in, try and get him in on a Wednesday night, maybe to partner DJ Phil, as we don't have Aidan Bennett at the moment. We'll have to see. Maybe Andy, you could sort something out there. Don't know about that one.
Yeah, 100%.
But I tell you what, the Leach brothers. Oh, Kieran's in the pits. Why is Kieran pitted? From P5. This will promote Gary. Gary's now up to 6th. He's past Peaceful and Emo Guy. He's going to pass Kieran Argent. Kieran Argent's going to lose 3.
Was he coming in for his pit stop there?
No, he pitted lap 2. Lap 2. I've just had a text from him. Just had Fury pull on, T-boned him. Maybe damage then for Kieran Argent, running in 8th. Keegs, the man setting the pace at the minute. Watch Mazda though behind these two, really doing more better pace than these two. Dean has passed Unorthodox in the pits, and will probably not gain on the back of Sooty Apex. Sooty though can regain his battle. Fury looks like he's pitted, I'd imagine, as he's well down the order now.
Yeah, Little Leach is pulling out the gap to AH, and so Mazda's got to get past AH ASAP if he wants to minimise the loss to the race leader, Little Leach. Mazda's now on a crucial point, and it looks like
AH had a problem.
AH has probably got a slow down coming out of the bus stop. Either that, or he just doesn't want to fight Mazda. He wants to bring it home in the podium spots. As we see, it looks like Peaceful's got ahead of Emo Guy.
Who's that?
A moment there.
Is that Emo Guy? No, I think that was Gary. I think Gary had a problem as well. Gary's just behind these. Look at the front bumper bouncing around here. Has he got damage to that car? Kieran Argent maybe on the slick tyre, and if Gary's got a pit, this is a three-way battle. Emo Guy trying to get past Peaceful Explosion here. The slipstream really taking effect. Peaceful Explosion's race has gone from bad to worse to good again. Up in P5 at the moment, and lets Emo Guy have the bus stop chicane. He had the inside line, he's let him go through there, so a good move there. Fury still in the pit lane.
What is this going to do to Gary though? His jaw is hanging off here. It looks like he is in all sorts of bother. He's going to. He's
losing ground to the 2 in front. I know they've got the slipstream on each other, but he's losing ground to the 2 in front.
I can't imagine a pit because there's no point in this.
He's going to lose. He's going to lose to Keegs and Kieran probably. Sooty, I don't know if he'd lose out to Sooty. He's staying out, so clearly the damage not too bad at the moment. Fury's still in the pit, so and that's one man who could get overtaken by Dean Wysocki. Is that Dean on the oval, coming through turn 3 and 4 of the oval section? I believe it is. So Dean Wysocki could find himself P11 here after a poor showing tonight. Could find himself P11. Fury and Kieran Argent in a spot of bother. That may go to the steward as well. We'll see.
I'd love to know what they're serving in the pit lane tonight, because there's something very suspect going on with some of these pit crews. It's been shoddy pit work tonight.
It has, it really has. The pit boys haven't done well. Peaceful Explosion 3/10 up. He's in the 49s. Mazda a 151. That's a great lap. But Little Leach a 49.3, a whole 1.2 seconds quicker. Mazda may just settle for second place here then, as he's not got that kind of pace. Little Leach probably on the slick tyre though, Andy. We're pitting so late.
Yeah, I think so. And he's really maximised this strategy to perfection tonight. Mazda is not closing in as much as he was. In fact, I think that actually that time around Little Leach did respond. In fact, yes, he did.
1.2.
Little Leach now the fastest man out on track, faster than. Oh no, actually, I eat my words. Sooty Apex is the fastest man on track.
Oh no, yes, Sooty Apex. Sorry, yeah.
He's got a lap down.
He's got 15 seconds to catch to Kieran Argent as Sooty Apex. 3 laps to do it in. That could be tough.
Yeah, and he's almost a lap down. He might. I mean, if he's lapping quicker than the leaders, then he won't have to move over, but if he makes a mistake and gets out of shape, then he'll have Little Leach right up his chuff, and those blue flags will be waving. That's the last thing Sooty Apex wants. Far cry from what we saw in the qualifying session, where he was dominant in that one, almost 6/10 clear of anybody else. Mazda was P2, I think, nearly 6/10 of a second behind him. So Sooty Apex, it's been an absolute disaster of a race one for him.
G's just commented in the chat, he's not feeling too well, but he says he'll hopefully be able to join next week. That's you're more than welcome to join whenever, G. Space on the grid for that. Jamie Brazy says the pit crews are awful from Mercedes from the German GP last year. Brilliant. Master then cannot do anything about Little Leach. Little Leach clearly on the slick tyre with pitting late. The different strategies has worked for Little Leach. Played an absolute blinder. Looks to take what I do believe will be his first race win here at Simplay Motorsport Yeah, his highest finish is second place on 2 occasions, so he will take his first race win here if it stays the way it is at the moment. Touch wood, don't want to give him the commentator's curse. 6.7 ahead of Mazda, flying on track at the minute. The only guys lapping quicker are Emo Guy, Keegs and Sooty Apex. But
Very
Mazda, top job.
Little Leach. Absolutely, yeah, it's been a hell of a comeback. Very surprising actually, now you mentioned that Little Leach hasn't taken a win here at Simplay Motorsport up to this point, because obviously he's the Clio Cup champion over at Motive Racing, so it was, he's been one of the best guys in that one. He was P2 on Tuesday, but yeah, over the last few weeks it's not really gone his way. He's been on the podium a couple of times, but it just hasn't really fallen together for him up until today. And but he's played a blinder with the strategy tonight. He really has driven the wheels off of his car, and his teammate Gary just hasn't been on the same wavelength.
I'll tell you why he's probably not taking the race win. He's got that teammate of Gary, who's older brother. You know what I mean? Come on, younger bro, do as you're told. Let me past. I believe that's what it was. Race 2 last week. You know, I had a poor first race. Can I win this one to gain some points back on G? Was the comment I got told from Little Leach to Gary. Yeah, so maybe that's the problem. But Little Leach, you know, we know race 1 at Silverstone he was in the lead by so far, and Peaceful Explosion was just on another level. That's why he finished second there. But he's only had another second place. Race 2 at the Nürburgring was his only other second place. In fact, was his only other podium this season. So he's not really, he's not really got to grips with his Porsche like he would have done. But he's still got the pace, and the strategy today has just been an absolute blinder. Sooty in the 147.1s, on Orthodubs a 47.8, Emo Guy a 47.2, Little Leach in the 48.8. So not the quickest man on track, but he's pretty much 2 seconds a lap quicker than Mazda, and that's why he's able to do what he's doing here. Lap 16 of 17, so they are coming round the final bends now. Mazda coming through turn 3 and 4 of the oval, what would be the oval circuit. Little Leach just about to start his final lap of the race as he crosses the line on the track map now. Mazda, in fact, look at that, a 47.5. Played an absolute blinder on the strategy tonight, and this is Little Leach can say that when he's qualified mid-pack, this is what's winning this race, the better strategy.
Yeah, it just gives you that extra boost, I think, in the build-up. When you qualify at the front, sometimes it can cause some complacency to kick in, but when you're forced to play your hand in a way other than just through raw pace, it can really bring out the best in you, and we've seen that from Little Leach tonight. Mazda had to pace towards the end, but Little Leach has shown in these last couple of laps that he had more in the tank, and he's just wrung the neck of that car in the final couple of laps of this race. Definitely in the 1 minute 47s. Only man quicker than this man at the moment is Emo Guy out on track. Yeah. Ian, once again, had the pace, but unfortunately, because the sisters he was found wanting, he's still getting quicker and quicker in that Nissan GTR. So watch this space with Ian. He's going to be improving no end, as we see a flash of the lights there confirming he's watching, or at least listening live on the stream. And
the thing is as well, sorry to butt in, the thing is as well, obviously he only joined Simplay Motorsport last week, obviously clipped races with you guys over at Motive. Took a 7th and a non-finish in race, no sorry, that's yeah, took a 7th and a non-finish. He's got up to speed quickly. A P5 is a solid result, so you've only been full damage, changeable weather conditions, tyre wear, fuel on, very different. And the level of these pro lads here, the likes of Sooty and Gary, Peaceful Explosion, Keegs, Kieran, top level drivers, and he's proven his worth against them here tonight.
Absolutely.
But Little Leach coming up on the line. Oh, who's that? That's an Orthodubs. Who's off? But yeah, Little Leach coming up on the line. He's got a big flash of the lights, and he'll be absolutely over the moon with that one. Takes the race win here at Daytona Road Course. A fantastic win for him. Mazda looks like he's going to come home in second place. A flash of the lights for him. Not bad to say he's got no practice in. Good stuff there. AH, to say he disconnected last week, he'll be over the moon with a podium. Oh no, it's Phil who's on the podium. Well, we haven't seen what's happened to AH. We've missed what's happened to AH. But Phil, for a 4th race in a row, will finish on the podium. And what a drive from Phil then. Cracking stuff. Where is AH on circuit? Is he still going? Yeah, he's still going. I wonder if he's running out of fuel. He ran out of fuel at Red Bull Ring, and Gary had to push him over the line. I wonder if that's the problem. That's why he's let Mazda pass so easy. He's had to turn it down to lean.
Yeah, 0.7 litres as he crossed the line.
So a 4th place.
Pretty well, actually, in the end, yeah.
Emo Guy. Indeed it is. Emo Guy's going to come home to take a very impressive 5th place. Gary probably going to lose the championship leader with only a P6. Not what he'd have wanted from tonight's race at all. And he's managed to do Peaceful Explosion in the end for P7. 8th place Keegs qualified 3rd and had a strong qualifying. Will come home in P8. Kieran Argent looks like he's going to be set to take P9. There is Keegs. He can qualify next time round. In fact, Gary can qualify next time round as well. Watch out for that. In fact, the most impressive man, Sutty Apex, can qualify. So that could be the man to watch then. Who has finished P10? Maybe a steward's inquiry at the end of the night against Fury in that one at the turn 1 incident. But we said he needs his season to get going, and this isn't the race that is going to do it for him so far. So a P10 for him. Dean Wysocki, possibly a fortunate P11 for him, but nonetheless it's P11 anyway. I do believe Unorthodox managed to come home in P12. I will just double confirm that for you. Unorthodox 12th. Fury will take 13th, and D-Biggs, who's just commented on the stream saying no practice, horrible track, didn't expect anything better than last, will take 14th place then. And the fastest lap of the race, I tell you what, we're going to have a look here. Sutty on a 46.1, 46.6 for Peaceful.
Oh no, that's it.
Yeah, Sutty Apex, fastest lap of the race. So an extra point for him to boost what he had, or what he has lost, should I say. But Leach Motorsport, the strategy from Little Leach, absolutely fantastic there from him. He'll be chuffed to bits with that one. Brilliant strategy from him.
Yeah, he played an absolute blinder and still had the pace at the end of the race. He did his fastest lap right at the end, which, in contrary to Mazda, who did his, I think, on lap 2 when the track was still reasonably dry. So Little Leach there was finding it all too easy in the semi-wet conditions, changeables as we like to call them. So fantastic drive from Little Leach. In the end, absolutely outclassed his older brother and teammate Gary in that one. I'm sure Gary's going to be wanting to fight back in this race too, as is guys like Sutty Apex, because you've got to remember Sutty Apex actually qualified on pole position 0.6 of a second ahead of the rest of the pack. So we're going to definitely be seeing a response from him in this upcoming race too. Don't go anywhere, guys. Make sure you stick around. He is also going to be able to qualify. The top 5 from this race 1 are not going to be able to qualify for race 2. They have to sit out, and they're randomised, so they're put into the back of the grid in a random order. It's essentially just down to luck as to where they finish up.
There's a lot.
The other guys. Go on. Yeah, no, the other guys are all going to be able to steal the march on them, and so the guys in mid-pack and guys like Sutty Apex are going to have that opportunity to clear off into the distance by the time the faster guys from this race have even managed to get up into, say 4th, 5th, wherever. Yeah, so it's going to be a hell of a race.
I was just about to say a similar thing. There's a lot of quicker guys that's not finished top 5. Qualifying 2 is going to be fantastic. You've got Gary Keegs, Sutty Apex, Kieran Argent, Peaceful Explosion. You've got a lot of fast guys in there that cannot qualify. Emo Guy not able to qualify, neither is AH, Phil, Mazda and Little Leach then, after a great strategy. Dan Davis in the chat, aka Unorthodox, Dean hit me on the bank on the last lap, so maybe that's one we have to look out for in a steward's inquiry. Evil Scotsman said that him and Fury, Evil Scotsman is Emo Guy, him and Fury start on the wets as well. So a good strategy from the Nissan boys. Didn't quite play out as well as it did for Little Leach. Gary's obviously didn't play out that way neither. Michael Matthews, my pit took ages, didn't even have much damage. Yeah, just a shame for certain guys who got caught up in incidents, and it's not what we want to see. But at the end of the day, as is Sim Racing, who are we awaiting on? So we've got Sutty, Mazda, Unorthodox, Emo Guy, Gary, D Biggs, Keegs, Earl Leach, Peaceful Fury, Argent, Dean. We are waiting on Phil. Just waiting for Phil. So while we do wait for him, let's grab see if we can have a word with Little Leach here then, while we just wait for Phil to come in and see what he says about that strategy, because it was absolutely fantastic. I think Phil is the last one we are waiting for. Unorthodox in the session. He's here now, so double check. Yep, 15 guys in the lobby, 13 drivers. No, it'll be 14 drivers, am I right? Yeah, 14 drivers. Who are we missing then?
It's always one.
Sutty, Mazda. Unorthodox is in, Emo Guy's in, Fury's in, Gary's in, D-Big's, Keegs, Peaceful, Little Leach, Argent, Dean. No Monkey Boy. No.
He's not here anyway.
No Monkey Boy. He's not here. And then there's a space free anyway. AH? I haven't seen his name pop up. No AH at the moment. As Little Leach joins us now. Craig, that was an absolute cracking strategy, mate.
Well, I have to say that was all Gary's idea. I was going to start on the wet. dries. He said, I'm going to start on the wets, and that was last minute just to slide them on, I suppose. But it paid off.
Yeah, it makes a change from a previous race. I won't bring it up. But you know the one I'm talking about. But yeah, it makes a change from starting on the wrong tyre.
Yes, absolutely. It's paid off well, to be fair.
Gary didn't seem to be able to match your pace you was doing.
Well, I heard a few words over the mic, and I heard I spun, and then I hit the wall. I was like, "You're going well, bro. Well done." makes up for him letting you for him telling you to stay behind him the other night. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Well done, buddy, and best luck for the second race, mate.
Thanks, mate.
As we are just waiting for AH, we will try and get him in. We'll get just a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds, should I say. I'll just run you through the championship order at the moment. Gary now sits second in the title race, 5 points behind Mazda, so a 10-point switch there for them two. He's just texting his connection, apparently he's AH, so he'll be with us shortly. Mazda then 5 points ahead of Gary. Peaceful Explosion third, 29 points off the leaders. Little Leach has really gained points there on the two at the top, 31 behind now. Phil still in fourth, Keegan in sixth. Keegs is in 7th place with AH 8th. Sooty Apex jumps Monkey Boy into 9th place. Monkey Boy 10th, Dean 11th. D-Big still in 12th, but tied on points now with Emo Guy. Fury 14th and Unorthodox 15th. And currently last in the Constructors' Championship. Iron Brew Racing have closed the deficit just a smidge over Leach Motorsport, who lead the way. Forever Forward Racing sit third with Run Flat Racing fourth. Flatline Motorsport in fifth with AH Racing in the BMW, the independent driver. Sixth, EF Racing of Emo Guy and Fury. Seventh, Biggs Motorsport eighth, and Dubs Racing bringing up the rear.
We're just seeing a couple of comments coming in on the stream. The only G starting up a rumour that Little Leach actually has his own strategist, so potentially the sim racing form of a ghostwriter for Little Leach. Who knows? We've also got Michael Matthews, otherwise known as Peaceful Explosion, said, "Good call with the wets, tested it up, but burnt up the tyres with the Mercedes after 2 corners apparently." So
maybe that's a problem.
I'll explain that. Yeah, it was a difficult one for him. Phil Naylor, gutted for Sutty. His fingers crossed that Sutty will be back on the podium. I'm pretty sure he's going to be fighting it out for the win, Phil, to be honest. But Phil is also out on the track as well, and putting a good performance in that race. Was actually third in that one, so well done to Phil. And as you said, 4 podiums in a row now here at Simplay Motorsport. He is a man on fire in the last few races. Got AH Racing just jumping back in the lobby now. The Evil Scotsman, otherwise known as Emo Guy, calling hacks on Little Leach, saying that Little Leach is definitely up to something dodgy. I think he's just a master of strategy there, and he seemed to. He's obviously done his homework on the track and the conditions. Jamie Brazier saying he's got his own Pono. That's it, yeah.
Gary is not Gary. Gary's just put he's a strategist because I'm no good behind the wheel. Definitely not. Definitely not. Gary, is that including the drop rounds you commented? That isn't including the drop rounds. The drop rounds, if you want to know the drop round score, Mazda still leads the title, but only by 3 points from yourself. So
G would be just alluding to the fact that Little Leach was going DeLorean mode in that race. So could it be that the DeLorean is actually a cheating strategy? Maybe we might have found out what exactly is going on with that. They might have made that work to their advantage. Who knows? Who knows?
We'll wait and see. Yeah, so we are away here. Phil cannot qualify, neither can Mazda, Little Leach, AH and Emo Guy then. They cannot qualify. We are still awaiting AH into the lobby then. For Gary, then, to answer your questions, Gary, you've lost 3 points to Mazda in terms of the drop score. Little Each actually has gone above Peaceful Explosion as well, but depending on the end of tonight, because obviously the drop score is based on your lowest score, so that's just based off the lowest score so far. So at the moment, Peaceful Explosion's lowest score, I think, is something like 21 points. That may not be the case after tonight, after a poor first race. AH back in with us now then, so good to see him back in, and good to see a 14-car grid again here. Who's your tip for pole in this race too then, Andy? Because you've got a lot of quick guys. I can't see many getting better than Sutty Apex.
Honestly, I'm willing to put the house, and I don't even own a house, but I'm willing to put it all on Sutty Apex here tonight, because he is surely, after what we saw in the race 1 qualifying session, he was on pole position by a considerable margin. He had a total nightmare of a race here in that race 1, so he's going to take pole. That's pretty much for certain. Whether or not he's going to convert it to the race win with the, once again, changeable conditions that we are expecting here at Simplay Motorsport. Here at Simplay Motorsport, we do not actually do dry racing. So we've always got to throw an extra element into the mix.
You have.
When it comes to sim racing, because ultimately we've got a decision. In real life, you can't decide the weather, you can't decide the date, you can't decide all that stuff. It's all done for you. So, you know, if you've got the opportunity to actually choose the weather, you've got to make it interesting. You know? Come on.
And the best thing about it was as well, it wasn't myself and the admin team that chose the weather. It was my 5-year-old and my 8-year-old. Stood there, I wrote them all down on a piece of paper. I went, right, boys, there's a hat. Pick me some weather out, please. I used my phone to pick how many weather slots we'd have. I used my kids to pick the tracks. So the tracks you've got as well are from my 2 sons as well. So they chose the tracks, and in the order they're doing, and they chose the weather. So it's not me. It was all down to them who's picked the weather and the circuit. So don't come to me and blame me. Blame my 2 kids. But no, they've picked some cracking weather.
Proud of what they've stirred up here. We've had some fantastic racing this season. It's been really good, and I'm sure they can look back and genuinely be proud of what they've created. We've got Gary here coming through turn 3 at the moment. He's one of the guys who's able to qualify. His brother Little Leach took a dominant win in that race 1. So Gary, I'm sure, is going to be a man on a mission in this one. He's going to want to fight back and respond. He knows that.
Question for you: is this? Could he challenge Sutty? We know he's got pace. I mean, we know Peaceful's got pace as well, and Keegs. Could Gary realistically challenge Sutty for a pole position?
I think it's very much on the cards for Gary to be up there, but Sutty just looks imperious form in race 1. Whether or not Sutty is going to be a little bit, maybe his confidence is going to have taken a bit of a knock after that race 1, but I can't see Gary getting ahead of him. I can see Gary getting on the front row. It's going to be a good battle to see who joins Sutty on that front row. I reckon it's probably going to be either Gary or Keegs.
Gary Keegs, Peaceful for me as well. I think you could put in that mix, that hat. Dean Wasoki's just pitted and come back out, not yet got a lap time, and so that's not what he wants. D Biggs currently does a 49.3, so not a bad lap time from him, but we know there's more time out there than that.
A couple of comments coming in from Fury's granddad. Sutty's sweating now after that prediction.
Indeed, he probably is. Andy's gave him pole position. Keegs does a 46.3. Good lap time, that is a heck of a banker lap from Keegs.
That is a phenomenal lap time there. Gary's absolutely nowhere near him at this point, but now we know that Sutty Apex is capable of considerably quicker than that. We saw in the qualifying session initially, and we see Unorthodox there.
Bit of a surprise.
Into the mix.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise there, Andy.
Where did that come from?
Only 600ths of a second, but definitely chucked a spanner in the works. Oh, Peaceful had a bit of a wiggle coming through turn 1. Peaceful and Kieran, bit of a banker like that in the 53s at the moment for both of them too.
We got a comment from Bethany Ann Duffin saying you should have seen their faces when you saw that they could pick the tracks. That's obviously in relation to your kids' maps, stirring up what has been a fantastic season here at Simplay Motorsport. Please make sure that the next season they're the ones who choose our tracks, because
I'll get the kids to pick get the kids to pick all the tracks and all the weather.
I mean that way you can shift the blame if it's a disaster. So.
I may live stream it and put it on the YouTube channel so that everybody can see that it's not me doing the picks. I'm not shifting the blame.
The official season 2 draw.
Yeah. How professional. A hat and several pieces of torn up paper screwed up inside a hat. pro. It's no FA Cup draw on the BBC. It's 2 kids and a flat peak anime cap with torn up pieces of paper in it. We do things professional here at Simplay Motorsport. That's what we're all about. Unorthodox.
He's loving it. He's loving it in the comments section. He's saying definitely do that.
we'll have to get that one live stream. We'll have to get them in the finest of clothes and get them. But I have to get them suited and booted, I think. And
no, just get some merch for Simplay.
Just some Simplay merch. Peaceful Explosion. You're doing merchandise. We need some merch for the next draw for the tracks. Just seeing the lap times come in then by the guys who can't qualify. Peaceful and Kieran down 7th and 8th. Sooty Apex.
Bethany, you're ruining everyone's fun.
Sooty, Kieran,
and do an audio. You have to do audio. We have to do a digital live stream. Digital draw.
Don't you worry. I'll get round Bethany. Don't you worry. Peaceful up into P7, struggling. Kieran Argent up into P5 at the minute. Sooty Apex down in P8 so far. Not the qualifying session we've come to expect. Andy, you've predicted him as well as me, and he's now down in P8.
Yeah, he's really struggling at the moment. I think that might have been an outlap though from Sooty Apex, but look at Unorthodox here in this one. I predicted him. My predictions do tend to be slightly laggy. They tend to be slightly delayed. I remember touting Unorthodox as my pick for the sprint race on Tuesday in the Clios, and he seems to have finally got himself into gear. As we see Sooty Apex though going even faster.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
5.6. So there was what we expected. We knew that was coming. We just didn't know when, and ultimately he's gone and done it there. Sooty Apex. Unorthodox though, steering pretty handy tonight. Maybe he might be able to respond here on this lap. We'll see what sort of lap time he's on as he comes towards the bus stop. Flash the lights there from him, letting us know he's watching the stream or at least listening to it.
Jamie Braziers just said, write Simplay on a piece of paper and stick it to their tops. Great merchandise. No, you're right though. Unorthodox has done a
highlighter, put it on their foreheads.
Yeah, just a post-it note. No, Unorthodox, you're right though. 2/10 from Sooty Apex has done an absolute stellar job. Sooty's in the pits, but if he wants to get another lap in, needs to get out now because it is quite a longish pit lane and has only got a couple of seconds to get out. He's pretty much going to have to do a hot lap on an out lap. I don't think he's going to get another lap in there. Keegs currently sat P3 within 7/10 of the pole time. He's been flying so far. He was 8/10 off Sooty in Q1. He's 7/10 now, so managed to find a bit of time. Peaceful Explosion sits 9th. No, he doesn't. He sits P4. He's just done a lap time and sits P4, then moves up the order ahead of Fury, Gary Argent, D-Biggs and Dean Wasocki. So a good lap time then from Peaceful Explosion. Unorthodox though has really surprised me tonight. Really good pace in his second qualifying.
Yeah, he's pulled the hat out of the bag and it looks like Keith's gone P. Sorry, he's pulled the... Well, I don't even know.
Pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah, pulled the rabbit out of the hat, yeah. Pulled the hat out of the bag. Keith's currently sat P3. Looks like he couldn't improve that time around, but Unorthodox, yeah, as you said, he's really nice surprise here in this race 2 qualifying session. He had the trickiest of races in race 1. He's currently 600ths down on his personal best, so if he can nail this middle sector, he might find himself with an opportunity of going pole. You see Gary there, putting it within 0.2 of a second of the provisional pole. Oh, he loses it coming through turn 1. Gary gets sideways, but
that's surely his lap ruined.
Surely it is, but pretty solid that time there from Gary. Currently on the front row. What's Unorthodox going to do on his final run? He's coming up towards the bus stop chicane now. Flash the lights there.
Who's that to?
There. I imagine
that's to Keegs. Keegs just the car in front.
As well.
I'd imagine so, and I tell you what, I wouldn't be flashing him to get out of the way. I'd be using that slipstream as you come onto the oval, and Keegs has moved out the way, so we're not going to see an improvement from Keegs. And Unorthodox just 200ths of a second down. Only needs to find a small bit of time here to leapfrog Gary. Not a lot of time to get in front of Sooty Apex. Has he found that? Indeed, he does. He's got to do it here. This is his last chance. Gary, I don't think will improve much after he had a spin at turn 1 or a half spin at turn 1. What's Unorthodox going to do? No improvement.
It's all on Gary now. Sooty Apex in the pits. Keegs couldn't go improve. It looks like Peaceful Explosion's moved us up into P4 there, ahead of Keegs right at the end of the session. Very nice.
Kieran Argent's just gone ahead of Fury into 6th place. The top 5 separated by 0.7 of a second, so a really better second qualifying for a lot more people. Obviously, Keegs was within 0.8 of Sooty last time round. Mazda within half a second. But for like, oh, Gary's lost it again. So is that qualifying done? Who's on a lap here? I'm not quite sure. Peaceful's out, Argent's out. I think we're probably waiting for D Biggs and Dean Wisocki, but Dean Wisocki had spanned, so that's probably going to be him done and starting P9.
D Biggs has had a torrid event so far. We saw the race one. Everything that could have gone wrong for this man went wrong. As you said, he wasn't on hot wheels, he was on cold wheels for the duration of that one. He was in and out of the pits non-stop. I don't think those tyres even had a chance to warm up. No. I don't know if their tyre blankets were just failing them or what was going on. As I said in the race one, I think that there was something being served up in the pits that was a little bit untoward, because a lot of the pit crews just weren't delivering.
Oh, 6/10
in the opening race. Yeah, he's absolutely flying, but it's not going to be enough at this rate to match Fury. We saw him getting a little bit entangled with the wall there on the exit of the bus stop. What's it going to be for D Biggs though, as he comes out past the Sunoco sign up towards the pit entry and towards the line now? What is it going to be for D Biggs? Is he
on Orthodubs has just commented saying he had more time there as Biggs improves, but cannot. In fact, if anything, he lost like a lot of time through there. We're just waiting for Dean Wisocki, but it does look like Sooty Apex will take a double pole here at Daytona and will do the double, but can he get the race that he needs in this one? Then it is going to be a 4th pole of the season for Sooty Apex then, who's on the front row by Gary 131. Didn't expect him on the front row, but we'll see. On Orthodubs, a cracking qualifier for him. He said he's got more time in him. Can we see that in the race? Currently in P3 then. Peaceful Explosion starts 4th with Keegs in 5th place. Kieran Argent will line up alongside him on the 3rd row of the grid. Row 4 is Fury and D Biggs. Row 5 is Dean Wisocki starting against the first man who couldn't qualify, AH. On row 6 we've got Phil and Little Eats, race 1 winner. So interesting to see that there. And on the final row of the grid we've got Emo Guy and Mazda. So Mazda starting dead last in this race here. Let's see what can happen. We are just going to give it 2 seconds for our page person. What do you call somebody who works media person? They're doing the media for the page. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. And I tell you what, if you do love the puns here between me and Andy, join us on motiveracing.com, sign up to their races, or just join us on their channel to watch, or go to Discord server at Motive Racing on Discord if you want to sign up to them, guys. The puns will keep on coming in many more races this year across Motive and Simplay. Don't you worry about that one. The banter never stops. Gary's just asked where Dean's 146 is.
Before you visit Motive Racing, guys, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the Simplay Motorsport channel. We've got 24 people watching on the stream, but only 10 likes. So, guys, if we could get that like count to over 20, please spam that like button if you enjoy what you're seeing here. As we oh god, the church theme again.
We said church last week. For those who didn't miss it, we said Jamie Brazy needs to go to church for his internet connection. This will never leave us now. We mentioned it Tuesday at Motive. It was mentioned tonight with Jamie's connection again. Gary's clearly been to church. He's within a 10th of Sooty. I tell you what, watch out for an epic battle between Sooty and Gary. Good rivals on the track, good friends off the track as well. He's going to do the socials after the race, he's just told me, so we can get ahead with this one then.
The only G just mentioning the possibility of a collaboration. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, G. It's funny you mentioned that because G actually knows this. We are actually working on a collaboration. We're going to be doing an event next week, is it? Or
not next week, the week after, the 5th, I do believe.
Yeah, 5th of November.
The 5th of November.
Bonfire night, guys. Put it into your diaries, because obviously nowadays you can't really do a whole lot on special days or special events. So we're going to be doing our own little take on Bonfire Night. We're going to be running a historic touring car race around Silverstone Classic. We're going to be racing in the Group A's, but the Skyline, I believe we're going to be banning that one, aren't we?
I think we've said that one's going to be banned, yeah. It's going to be
it's
Go on.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a hell of an event, I'm sure, and you can really go toe-to-toe in those things. They can be a little bit fragile at times, but I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be really good to cool.
An 8v8 into I think is the way to go into it. It's an 8v8, 8 Simplay versus 8 Motive Racing, guys. So the only G we could see featuring that race, and I tell you what, watch out for him because he's a record holder on the Project 2 Project Cars 2 game, so keep your eyes out if he is selected by the Motive Racing lads. I can't see why they wouldn't select him. But me and Andy will be bringing you the coverage through that one, and you can make sure that you can assure there will be fireworks on that night. Maybe not outside where you'd expect to be during this COVID time, but on the Simplay Motorsport channel, and I do believe the Motive channel as well. So join us live on the 5th of November for that. We are running here at Simplay Motorsport a bit of a fun race for the guys who cannot compete in that one for the other Simplay competitors on the Wednesday night. We're going to do the same thing, but just for the guys who aren't selected for this one. But we are away here. The cars will roll down towards the start line for round 10, the halfway point of the season, and this now a crucial time for drivers to start scoring points, to start thinking of championship battles. And we are underway here then for the second time tonight, and Sutty and Gary equally have a great start here. And Orthodub's going toe to toe with Peaceful Explosion, and Gary's going to look around the outside of oh, a bit of bump in there between a few cars. AHD, Biggs, Fury, Mazda got caught up in that. I think just a concertina effect, Phil, as well. I think that was a concertina effect there that's just happened. Dean Wasaki was caught up in that, but Gary, we didn't see, has gone around the outside of Sutty Apex into turn 1 and leads at the moment then. So a good start from Gary Leach. Unorthodox still running P3 and on the back of that Lamborghini. So a heck of a start for him as well. But Peaceful Explosion 4th, Argent up into 5th, AH, the one from the back of the grid, up into 6th place. Little Leach currently running 8th, Mazda 9th. Where's Phil? 12th, the only man who didn't qualify 12th. Dean Wasaki already down to 14th. So let's wait and see what he can do from there. Jamie Braze just said, can I get a shout out for suggesting that? We are going to oh, sorry, I get what you mean now. Yeah, the idea did come to us from Jamie Brazier, so I'll give you a shout out for that. The idea came as a mid-season race from Jamie Brazier. What was wrong with Fury there down in P13? Not quite sure, but him and Dean Wasaki trying to battle it out. Oh, Dean looks like he's got big damage on the rear of that Acura. Am I seeing that right? No rear spoiler, no. I think. On the back of Dean's Acura then. It's just come, yeah. It's got a little bit worse.
Yeah. That's taking a definite pit stop. There's going to be lengthy repairs for Dean Wasaki. It's been a nightmare couple of weeks for this man, and Flatline Motorsport are going to suffer the pain of more points lost as we see Gary coming up on the line now. He's got Sutty Apex very much keeping him on his toes.
Oh, what's happened to Unorthodox? He's dropped to P9. He's just getting past Keegs, battling with Keegs, in fact. So what's happened to Unorthodox then? Was currently behind Sutty running P3. He's now dropped down the order and he's side by side with Keegs as they're going to cross the line on the slight banking. He's got the run done on Keegs. Keegs will tuck into the slipstream. In fact, Keegs has just clipped the wall. Comes across to try and get the slipstream and just clipped the wall a bit too much. Hopefully not too much damage to the rear of that BMW. That's Gary. Gary's round. The leader is span again, and that's Mazda who flies past him, and the championship is surely slipping away from Gary. Mistake after mistake, and I tell you what, he's throwing this one away so far, Andy. Poor run out, poor showing at Spa last week, and it's not been the greatest here tonight.
Well, he's got Little Leach up into 5th, repping the team at the moment, but Gary's had an absolute disaster. He took the lead off the line. I thought he was going to be making the most of this race. He mentioned in the build-up that he's more of a strategist than a racer, which, to be fair, he's putting himself down because he's a hell of a racer. But tonight, he's not showing it at all.
Indeed, he's not. And it's Sutty Apex who's now 1.7 clear of Peaceful Explosion. Kieran Argent running in P3 at the moment, so a great start for him. Great first lap and second lap. AH from the back by the back of the grid with Little Leach and Mazda as well. Mazda started dead last. AH pulls out now, and is he going to look to someone up the inside? Kieran slightly closes the door and then slams it shut as he takes the corner. AH had to get out the back of that one there then. Early on in the race, so 17 laps still in this one, and Unorthodox is on the back of Mazda. Has he had his Weetabix between race 1 and 2? Because he looks fiery.
Yeah, at the moment I think Mazda's made some decent progress up into 6th place. Unorthodox though, very unfortunate with what happened to him. Dropped back obviously after getting a good qualifying session. We'll be seeing how he gets on in this one, but he's looking to the inside of Mazda. He pulls out and Mazda looks like he might have some damage maybe. He's sitting duck there coming over the line.
Helpless. That's more than just the slipstream. Mazda looked helpless there. Unorthodox thought about the higher line. but then effectively just went lower and managed to get the job done on Mazda. Mazda looking to come back at him now. He did say to me, he did text me in race 1 saying that I was running qualifying downforce, so maybe he's changed his downforce to the race 1 and it's not suiting him well. Has he got damage? We'll see. Saw with Jamie Brazier last night, he was losing top end speed, but Lidleach up into 5th. Unorthodox though, it looks very confident in this second race. Looks a different racer from what he was in race 1. Good little quartet here between Unorthodox to Keegs. Not much between them all indeed. Lidleach just up the road from Unorthodox as well. So let's wait and see what can happen here then. Gary, I can't believe he's chucked another lead away here. Gary throws them away as bad as Jamie Brazier's internet connection throws his away for him. Oh, honestly. I mean, it's only 5 points, and he's got to think that Mazda's now the car in front of him, so it's not too bad at the minute. AH coming down the back straight then will be in that tow with Kieran Argent once again, and this BMW roars down the back straight, and look at him now. Kieran can't do anything about him this time and concedes the place. Looks for possibly a cutback, but then realised that there was no room as the corner had come up on them very quick there, and Kieran had to jump in. Mazda's made a mistake somewhere, has to straight line the chicane. He's got damage, I think. That car seems like it can't turn properly. Mazda's not one for cutting corners, and he cut the chicane big time there. But Mazda then will concede 2 places to Gary and Keegs. And does he have to pit early? Bearing in mind, rain to come. We'll have to wait to see what happens here. But yeah, not the race for him so far.
We had a sneaking suspicion that Mazda had damaged on the previous lap when we saw Unorthodox Dubs breezing past him as if he wasn't even there. So he's obviously staying out in order to accommodate for the rain that we're going to see later on. We're expecting rain around half distance. Yesterday night for the Pro-Am, it started falling on lap 8 of 17. So Mazda wants to stick it out and keep himself out on the track as long as he can, as long as he's not losing absolutely heaps of time. He's better off keeping it out on the track until that rain comes, and then he can change onto the wet tyres.
Oh,
we're hearing a potential shout from Jamie Brazier, saying possibly
might be on wet
tyres.
That might explain something, you know. If he's going this slow, that might explain why he's 4 seconds slower than Keegs last lap. If he is, he's really then sort of biding his time. He'll have to pit towards the end. Surely he'd have to pit. Surely the wets won't go for 8 laps here, even if you are running at a slower pace. Surely
not.
One man
who was on the wets on the race 1 was Gary. He's definitely not on the wets in this one. We know that because of the 46.6 that he done in the previous lap. That would be impossible on the wet tyres. Gary's definitely on the sticks.
Fury's
on the wets
pit.
in the race 1. Yeah, Fury coming in. But I was going to say, actually, it would probably be quite appropriate if Jamie Brazier and Gary swapped internets, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm only joking, Gary, because obviously we all want you to lose all the points that you get. I mean, Gary's a hell of a racer, to be fair. He's had a really unlucky round the last couple of times out. In Nürburgring, he was untouchable in the right conditions. I don't know what's happened to him.
No, he just seems to have lost a bit of confidence. Unorthodox has got past Little Eats then on the last lap, really flying as Unorthodox, slowly gaining on the back of Kieran Argent as well. You see there, these three in fact all gaining on Kieran Argent, who hasn't got back past AH. Shutty Apex leads by a second here though, and that lead to Peaceful Explosions pretty much maintained itself. These two pretty much going toe to toe, only 2 tenths between them on the last lap between Sutty and Peaceful Explosion, so matching each other so far, but also doing better times than the cars behind them, apart from Unorthodox, who is matching the leader's pace, although it looked like he made a bit of a mistake coming out turn 1 as Lidleach right on the back of him. Then Gary, the quickest man out last time round, a 46.2, heck of a time. That Mazda in the 49s.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody had to take the pit exit there, but Mazda currently running a little bit off of these guys. It looks like Jamie Brazier might have a point here. It could be on the wet tyres. Jamie Brazier saying in the comments he's very much up for a swap of internets with Gary at some point, and G saying if he's on the wet tyres they're going to take a beating.
Yeah, they are. They're going to take a hell of a beating.
You've got a point there, G, but if he can keep them
if
reasonably, if he can keep the temps reasonably down, then he will be flying later on. But there is a mandatory pit stop in this one, though, isn't there?
There is mandatory pit stop in both races. Now we did see Mazda in a
little to no gain in going on the wet tyres then.
Mazda was involved in a first lap scuffle as well, so I wonder if we saw Jamie Brazier got a bit of a tap last night, bit of damage on the suspension. He was slow on a straight. Mazda doesn't look too bad in the infield section, but the minute he gets to the oval he looks a sitting duck, so I wonder if he's struggling. These four really gaining on the back of Kieran Argent. Little Eats here just cutting the chicane a little bit, really have caught to the back of Kieran Argent. Has Unorthodox, Lidleach and Gary, they've dropped off the back here. Oh, Gary's past Lidleach. Gary needs all the points he can get, so maybe that's how he's got through then on Little Leach there. Little Leach letting him through after he's already taken a race win. Is that team orders? Kieran looks like he's gone defensive early, but you're helpless to the slipstream. You've got a long way to go till turn 1, and the outside is not necessarily the worst option here. And here goes Unorthodox round the outside of Kieran Argent, and he has the move done as they come into the braking zone. Round the outside, as he ran a bit too deep. Yeah, slightly. That's AH, who was very deep though at turn 1. Gary as well went deep there, to be fair, and Little Leach hasn't come flying past him, so I wonder if team orders have come in there to let Gary stay in front of Little Leach.
Yeah, very possibly there could be older brother there getting preferential treatment there from the team principals over at Leach Motorsport. But we've got Kieran Argent still managing to hold off Unorthodox. Unorthodox there giving a flash of the lights there to Kieran Argent, saying, "Come on, let me through, I'm quicker." But Kieran Argent under no obligation to allow Unorthodox through. He's got to fight for position at the end of the day. This is a 4th place battle, and Kieran Argent wants the points.
Look at Unorthodox's last lap at 1:45.8. That's qualifying pace.
He's flying. That is
I know he had a massive slipstream from Kieran Argent, as Dean Wasoki's in the pits again here, so not the night for Dean Wasocki. But Unorthodox is absolutely cruising, flying at the moment, making people look like they're going backwards. A quality second race for Unorthodox then, as he's going to go high then towards the back straight as they head down towards the chicane. Kieran's had to drop a bit low. He'd have lost some speed, lost a bit of momentum as he dropped onto the flatter surface on the in part of the oval, and Unorthodox has that move done already, and he's on the back. Oh, hey, AH has made a mistake in front of Unorthodox. Rejoins now ahead of Little Leach, who's dropped off the back of Gary by a heck of a way, but AH making a mistake, and that's promoted Unorthodox to P3 then. And with him flying at the moment, he's going to gain on the back of Peaceful and Sutty, you'd think, before the pit stops any time. Little Leach goes high compared to AH. Kieran Argent looks to have the slipstream, and he's going to look to try and come back at Unorthodox, but that Porsche is pulling down the straight, and I don't think he's going to have the momentum to do it. He looks just too far back for the slipstream to take that big an advantage. Is he going to look to send one? No, too far back.
Little Leach at the moment. Looks like AH has got the move done on Little Leach, but has he overshot the corner? It looks like actually AH has got it done, so...
Yeah. Unorthodox span!
Oh no!
He's done so well to get to P3, and he's had a spin. It's dropped him behind Keegs. There's Mazda in the background. Was running so well, was Unorthodox, and he's had a spin there. Oh, I tell you what, I feel for him, because he's had such a good race so far.
Yeah.
And he's just lost the rear coming through turn 1.
He had such a promising qualifying. We said just a lap ago that Unorthodox was doing qualifying pace, and clearly it just wasn't sustainable for him to be lapping that quickly at this stage in the race with a full fuel tank, and he's still there just pushing the car a little bit beyond its limits. He's down to P8 behind Keegs, still not too far off of that battle though with AH, still only 6 seconds behind, so Unorthodox can definitely, I reckon he's still on for a podium in this race. He's only 8 seconds off of the 3rd place, so we've got in excess of 12 laps left to go.
Rain.
100%, and rain as well. Oh my goodness.
Rain. No, it's raining now. It's raining now. So I was just about to say that the Peaceful Explosion's really caught to the back of Sutty Apex here. The gap's within 0.3 of a second as Little Leach is going to look around the outside at the bus stop chicane. Surely this isn't going to work. No, he backs out of that one then. Thinks better of it. Now then, the rain's coming. Sutty Apex and Peaceful was coming towards the start line, so I don't think they're going to pit this lap round. Can Kieran dive into the pit? Oh no, Sutty has pitted, so they did make it in time. So Sutty's pitted. Peaceful Explosion is in the pit, so Kieran cannot pit this lap around. Gary dives into the pits then.
Ultimately, obviously we've got the online championships here at Simplay Motorsport, the online championship mode here on Project Cars 2, so that means that only one person from each team can pit at a time, so there is one person who always has to ultimately have a compromise whenever there's wet conditions or changeables, which is pretty much near enough every event here. So what that's going to mean is that a lot of these guys are going to have to come in for the wet before it's actually wet conditions. Obviously you can see the track pretty much bone dry, even though I've got a small amount of spitting rain. So Kieran Argent released into the lead. A couple of guys had to take the one for the team. Peaceful, Gary and Keegs all taking it.
Yeah, Sutty has as well. Sutty's pitted as well.
He's been in and out already, yeah, so very nice stop there from Sutty Apex. He's got the net lead of the race for when Kieran Argent comes in, AH, Little Leach. So just to put it into perspective, guys, everyone from the top 6 is still yet to come in for their stop. Everyone from 6 downwards has already been in for their mandatory stop in this race. That's a
everybody but Emo Guy Fury. Fury and Dean have both been into the pits already, but not for wet tyres, I'd imagine. Say pitted early on. I haven't seen Emo Guy in the pits yet. Struggling in this race is Emo Guy down in P10. I haven't seen him in the pits as of yet, but still got to do his mandatory pit stop. As far as I'm aware, I didn't see him pit, so we'll keep an eye on that one as we go ahead. But Kieran Argent currently 4 seconds up the road from AH. Now this is where the BMW might struggle, and AH will have a lot of work to do. The Porsche, good in the greasy conditions, Gary's told me previously in the past, before Nürburgring. So is that Porsche going to have the better of the BMW as they come down towards... These are coming around turn 3 and 4 of the oval, aren't they? Little Leach, in fact, has passed AH, and on Orthodubs is gaining on the back of them as well. That's Mazda across the grass again. Struggling.
Oh, no.
Struggling in race 2.
The wet tyres, Matt.
Well, he hasn't pitted because Keegs pitted last lap, didn't he? And if he's got damage, that's going to be making that BMW even worse to drive. He's keeping it low, so that's an indication surely that he's going to be pitting this lap. AH is in the... What's happened to Kieran? Where's Kieran?
Oh no, what's happened?
Have we lost Kieran from the session? There's 13 drivers.
Oh no.
He's been disqualified. He's texted me now. He's spanning to the pits. He's been disqualified from the race.
Oh no. That is so unfortunate there for Kieran Argent.
Oh, I can't believe that. He's spanned coming into the pits and will score no points here then. Oh, that is terrible news for him. Let's see how long Mazda's pit is. Yeah, Mazda says he's just commented on the stream, he got damage, lost speed, so that's why that explains Mazda's slow pace. Will he be quick come the end of this race? Let's wait and see. Phil is also into the pit, so is Unorthodubs. So everybody's pretty much done their pit stop. We are only waiting for, yeah, literally Emo Guy's the only one I haven't seen in. He is now running P5. Yeah, this is taking a while for him. Where's D Biggs? 57 seconds behind, just coming through the bus stop chicane. Oh, Kieran spun in the pits, was 4 seconds in the lead, spun in the pits, and has got DQ'd. Oh dear.
That's bitter luck, but it's one of those pit entries where they can always catch you out, especially when it's slippery. Obviously, on that wet line as you're coming into the pits, it's and all the water is building up on that part of the track as well. It's kind of like a moat effect. It's all dropping down.
D Biggs past Mazda.
One of those, isn't it?
No, it's just past Mazda now. Who's that in? Oh, that's Kieran's dot in the pit lane. Sorry, because he's been DQ'd, so he's not left the session. I thought Mazda was still in his pit box head, but no, D-Biggs has passed Mazda on the exit of the pit lane. And Mazda's got a lot of work to do from 11th here. Gary will be licking his lips, currently sat P3. Sutty then has the net lead of this race, 2 seconds out of Peaceful Explosion. Gary needs to get his head down here. The gap is 5 points between him and Mazda in the championship, and at the moment Gary will outscore Mazda by 10 points, so we'll gain, we'll be 5 points back, so it'll be as it was before we started it. Kieran's in-game name is Argent, who's been disqualified from the race. Oh, I can't believe that. All that practice you must have done has just gone down the drain there, Andy.
Yeah, it has, and he was up there, you know, he was looking promising in this race. As we see Little Leach having a look here on the inside of AH, and he breezes past him as they come around the final part of the oval section. These guys having both been in for their stops, I believe.
Yeah.
Emo Guy in the background.
Emo Guy's not. Yeah, I don't think Emo Guy's pitted. I've not got him down on my notes as pitted. Everybody else has. So I'm not 100% sure what Emo Guy, if he's going late or not.
Yeah, he's struggling. It will happen in the 1:57s as Emo Guy.
Oh,
Essentially the wrong tyres.
Kieran's just commented, may have broken my controller in the stream. Oh, that will be due through frustration, no doubt, surely. Terrible, terrible look, though. It has mean his drop score has changed, so that will kind of be a bonus for him there. But Gary, the man at the moment who will come out the night 5 points ahead of Mazda as things stand at the moment. Mazda needs to get a move on to try and reduce the deficit in the championship. Came into it 5 behind Gary. Left the first race 5 ahead of Gary, now will be 5 behind Gary again, but AH trying to stay on the back of Little Leach. Emo Guy trying to stay with him, but he's slowly dropping off the back of these two here. He's just starting to struggle.
He is a little bit. You can see those slick tyres definitely falling off. Yeah. And he's going to be a sitting duck for Keegs in a moment's time. So Keegs actually going a little bit wide there, coming out onto the oval as well. So he seems to be struggling. Unorthodubs, who has been in for his stop already, he's was up there earlier on. Unorthodubs qualified 3rd in this race. He was lapping faster than just about anybody else out on the track in the earlier stages of the race, but it has all gone horribly wrong for our Orthodox here in this one. He's down in 8th place.
Indeed it has. He's still got plenty of time though to get that Porsche back up there. We know the BMW seems to struggle in the wet conditions. That's Dean Wysocki. He's about to put a lap on. Keegs just in front of Dean Wysocki. So let's see if Unorthodox can keep up with Keegs here. I mean, we saw him struggle race 1. Maybe was that to do with the wet conditions? We're not sure. But if that Porsche's got the pace it had in the first stint, Unorthodox would be one to watch to make his way through the grid here. With Emo Guy probably still having to dive into the pits. I'd imagine he'd gain to be P7, although Unorthodox isn't lapping much slower than the other guys. He's just on a 56.9, so he must have pitted earlier and I've missed it, because he's lapping similar pace. The leaders though in the 53s and the 52s. Gary did a 2:04 last lap, so a pretty bad lap for Gary. In fact, he's right in front of his brother. Has Gary made another mistake here tonight? And if so, he's being caught by his brother. Not only him, but AH isn't far behind him. Surely if Gary keeps making mistakes here, Little Each has got to be released and let through for the sake of the team more than anything. With Iron Brew Racing gaining on them slightly in the constructors, they're not at the moment tonight, but surely Gary's going to release his brother if he keeps making slight mistakes. Mazda's gaining on the back of D Biggs for P10, so that'll be an extra couple of points for him then. We see just coming down through turn 1, yeah, there is Mazda. Phil, P9, struggling in this second race, and he was on the podium. He's had 4 podiums in a row. In fact, he's wide, he's off. That'll allow D Biggs and Mazda to get through. So Mazda will gain to P10 as Phil has spun. Struggling in race 2 is Phil, not like his teammate Sutty. 4 podiums in a row, it's not going to be 5 for him here. But I tell you what,
a couple of points there for Mazda in his championship challenge, but
crucially, yeah,
it's not going to be doing him any good here in this one. Down in P10, he's still got D Biggs. He's not going to catch up to Unorthodox. Unorthodox is too far ahead, so it's 9th place is pretty much the ceiling for Mazda here in this race too. It's not been the best of rounds for him, it has to be said. He was in imperious form last week at Spa, but this time out it just seems to have not really fallen for him at all. Yeah,
it's not quite gone to plan for him tonight. He will pass, if he can get past D Biggs. It's 9th place, 7 points. You know, the loss is only is 8 to then Gary, so it's not much of a loss compared to that, but there's still a long way to go in this race yet. Anything can happen, and there is close battling all the time on track. Peaceful Explosion has pulled the gap down to Sutty Apex for P2 and 1 on the track at the moment, and if Gary keeps making slight mistakes to let Peace, that'll surely release Little Each and potentially AH here then. Emo Guy stays out currently. Oh, he's lost a couple of places here. He was ahead of Keegs and Unorthodox. Yeah, he's 8th.
202 last time around for Emo Guy, so I'm not sure exactly what's happened there. But he surrendered places to Keegs and Unorthodox, as I said there. AH also off position, so Keegs currently closing in on AH, but at quite a rate. 2 seconds quicker on that previous lap was Keegs. He's currently doing bits, but Unorthodox closing in on both of this pair now. Unorthodox is going to be eyeing up that 5th place. He was in for a shout with a podium spot earlier on. It looks like he's currently matching the leader as well, Sutty Apex. So Unorthodox, I'm sure, is going to be licking his lips at the idea of taking on these guys in the final 5 laps of this race. Currently Gary still holding up his teammate Little Leach a little bit now. Little Leach might start a few flashes of the lights, and there might be some team orders coming into play pretty soon, although maybe Gary has got the measure of him at the moment. Who knows? It looks to me like Little Leach is probably being compromised a little bit though.
Gary a couple of tenths quicker on the last lap, but yeah, you know, Little Each gains on the slipstream and then just seems to be well behind. Peaceful Explosion must have had a bad lap because he's dropped off the back of Sutty. It was 1.1 at one point. It's now over 3 seconds, so possibly a mistake from Peaceful Explosion somewhere then. Obviously the sole scorer tonight with Kieran Argent getting disqualified for Forever Forward Racing. Yeah, bad lap there.
I'm pretty excited now because I think one of my predictions might actually...
Sutty for the win.
Oh no, just as I say that, Sutty Apex loses 2 seconds.
Just
as I say that.
You've jinxed yourself there. Looks like he got a bit of a slide on the exit of turn 1. He's still got a decent gap to Peaceful Explosion, and just getting a bit ahead of yourself, Andy, there towards the end of this one. Mistakes can still creep in. The Leach brothers 15 seconds off this battle, running together on track again. Surely Gary's got to let Little Leach through. Little Leach was a 10th quicker last time round. He's practically pushing him round the circuit.
I don't think Fury's granddad is going to be confident enough to go and let me pick up a scratch card for him yet.
No, I don't think he is neither, as we just saw Gary take to the grass a little bit then. AH being pushed by Unorthodox here, who has got past Keegs then. So we said these two was catching AH to rate or not, they really have. And Unorthodox has passed Keegs then, 4P6. In fact, has Keegs just lost the car then? No, he must have had a bit of a twitch. I saw Keegs just lose it. He's managed to keep it going. I saw him. Nick Fury's granddad says definitely not. You're still not allowed to buy him a scratch card at the moment, as Keegs has passed AH and Unorthodox has passed AH on my timing screens.
Yeah, it looks like Unorthodox is doing a good job now, but he's got 11 seconds up to Little League.
Oh wait, AH! He's ran deep!
Oh my goodness!
He's ran very deep there. There's Emo Guy just coming into shot. Mazda has got past D Biggs. Oh, I tell you what, is he struggling with damage here, because they've really gained on him, and now he's made another mistake. If he's got to pit again, Mazda could be in for another position here. It is stopped raining, so will it dry? I don't think it dried in time last night, but Peaceful Explosion falling back to Sutty yet again. Little Each dropping off the back of Gary to give Gary a bit of breathing space. Gary keeps, for me, just making a slight mistake. For me, if I was Leach Motorsport, I'd let Little Each go. Not really in the championship battle. 30 odd points behind. I know we're only halfway through the season, but surely the orders aren't to let Gary take the title at the moment over Little Each, while he's not mathematically still out of this one. Gary, although, needs all the points he can get with his operation later in the year.
It does, yeah. It's going to be a tricky one for him later on, but he's currently holding off Little Leach. I think this is actually quite a evenly matched battle between these two teammates at the moment. I don't think team orders are going to be necessary at this point, but having said that, Matt, these two have not had the easiest of weeks. On Tuesday night over at Motive in the Clios, they did actually trip over each other in the race one, and admittedly, they got it together in race two, and they managed to bring it home for the 1-2, but it took a bit of getting to know each other in the first race in order to get it right for the second one. Let's hope that these two have learned their lesson well and truly from that debacle, and don't run into each other in these last 3.5 laps left to go here. Gary is probably going to have to be sensible about this one. If he feels Little Leach getting a little bit too hot in his mirrors, he might be well advised to just ease off and allow Little Leach to take the position. They could maybe come to an agreement of some sort, I don't know.
One thing I've noticed, Andy, we said Mazda wouldn't catch Emo Guy and AH. He's not far off the back of him. We're still 3 and a bit laps to go for them, who's a bit further back on track. Only 7 seconds to Emo Guy, 10 seconds to Emo Guy. So Mazda not within a possibility of Emo Guy and AH. If they are struggling, Mazda could potentially gain a few more places here, and that might be it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might be a little bit much to overhaul, but saying that, Emo Guy lapping in the 1:57, so I don't know what is wrong with Ian today, but really out of sorts. Not like him at all.
No.
See him so far off the pace.
And he took a P5, don't forget, race 1. And looked really quick, looked really good for his P5, took a fantastic race. Just not seeing that in this second race here. The conditions, obviously with them being reversed, kind of not suiting what Emo Guy's feeling comfortable with in that Nissan GTR. Nice to see another Nissan on the grid though here at Simplay. Another manufacturer to the grid, so it's nice to see that. But Sutty Apex keeping Peaceful Explosion at bay, 2/10 quicker last time around.
This was just gradually carving that gap down a little bit. Come on, Sutty. Be my first correct prediction ever at Simplay Motorsport. If you can bring it home, man, then you're going to be my hero. You're going to be my pick for every single race.
Emo Guy's in the pits.
Oh, what's going on here with Ian?
Now, I said I didn't see him pit. I said I didn't see him pit, so is that his mandatory pit stop? Because I said I didn't see him pit, so has he now just pitted? He's surely not gone that far on the slicks. Surely not. Maybe he tiptoed round at the start of this race. Or is he going for the dry tyre? I'm not sure. But that's released Mazda into P8. So a few more points for the current championship leader here then. And can he...
Like going for the fastest lap though, maybe.
Yes, potentially that. Unorthodox has dropped behind AH here. So probably maybe a mistake from Unorthodox. Sutty Apex though still out in front. Little Each in the 150s last time round, the only man to do so. So heck of a time from Little Each. In fact, he's passed Gary. That was Gary off. Gary's off again. Keegs too far back to make anything of it. But Gary struggling now. Little Each has passed him, and Gary's making a few mistakes here. Couple of laps to go. Could we see the closest rival to Mazda at the minute mess up this second race. If Keegs takes points from Gary, that will A, help Iron Brew Racing over Leach Motorsport, but also help Mazda in this championship battle so far. AH and Unorthodox having a bit of a battle on the timing screens. It looks like they're quite close together. I tell you what, Gary, the last thing he needs is to keep making mistakes and getting damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw that Little Leach had actually got past him before that incident even happened. We missed out on the stream. We didn't quite see when those teammates swapped over. Maybe it was on the run up to the bus stop. But Gary's just got to keep his head together now. He's got a long way back to Keegs. He needs to bring it home in 4th place, maximise his points. Well, he doesn't want to lose too many, because obviously, as you mentioned, he will be racing on the controller in the latter end of the season due to a knee operation. So he wants to make the absolute most of this while he can. 4 seconds behind Little Leach at the moment. Gap at the front, 2.2 between Sutty and Peaceful. Looks like Peaceful's coming up on some traffic. That's Emo Guy there, just ahead of him. I believe Emo Guy has just made a switch to fresh slick tyres. So Emo Guy, I imagine, is probably going for fastest lap at this point. Looks like Sutty, Peaceful has got past him actually. So that's alright in that regard.
Yeah, Peaceful's lapped him. We'll see the pace of Emo Guy, see if the dry tyre is the tyre to go to. I don't think it is for anybody else, as we're on lap 16 of 17. We're coming round to start the final lap shortly. Little Leach in the 49s last time round, so a heck of a lap time from him. I'll tell you what though, Emo Guy's, really got to be on it here, because if I remember rightly earlier in the race, Unorthodox did a 45.8 or a 46.8, so he's really got to put in a good lap.
Oh yeah, and obviously we've had a bit of rain. The track not at its driest, I don't think, at this point. I reckon that there's still a little way to go until it's bone dry, so it would take an absolute hell of a job from Emo Guy to get a fastest lap.
Has Gary had another problem? Because he's well off the back of Little Leach and is closer to Keegs. Has Gary made another mistake here?
Potentially, yeah.
Keegs is just coming through the bus stop chicane. Now, if Gary's got damage and it's slowing him down, or he keeps making mistakes, Keegs could be right on the back of him come towards the end of this last lap. We are coming round to start the final lap of the race. Sutty, Peaceful, Little Leach already on it. And Gary here needs to just get these mistakes out his head. He's got to get his head down here and make sure he can take this P4. A 2-minute lap there from Gary, so a poor lap there. Can't afford another big mistake like that, as Keegs was 7 seconds quicker, and the gap's only 5 seconds this time round. There's Unorthodox higher line to AH at the moment as they come round to start their final lap of the race. They're going to head down to turn 1. This Porsche's looked very good in the hands of Unorthodox and Little Leach today. Not so for Gary. Driver of the day, get your votes in now. I'll ask Andy at the end of this race who he's going for, and I'll tell mine at the end of this race as well. But get your votes in for driver of the day. But at the moment, Sutty Apex 2.6 up the road from Peaceful Explosion. Fury has actually unlapped himself from Peaceful Explosion, so clearly the dry tyre a lot quicker than the wets at the minute. He's actually gaining on Sutty Apex. And Master's back down to 10th. He's lost that to D-Biggs and Phil. What's gone wrong there for Master? He's in the pits! He's in the pits!
No. And his pit crew's not ready for him. They're still scrambling out of the box. The race leader's just coming around to complete the race. So
why is Master pitted?
Mazda might finish this race a lap down, because Sutty's coming up on the line. As you see Emo Guy there unlapping himself, or he's going to try to. Is he going to manage to do so before the end of the race and start another lap here? Sutty Apex though, coming out of the final corner. He's driven a fantastic race tonight, took the 2 pole positions over the course of this event, and he's going to take the victory in the race too. Fantastic job from Sutty Apex. Makes up for the disappointment of race 1. Peaceful Explosion coming over in P2 to take some great points in the championship fight with Gary. Little Leach completing the podium. Gary coming over in 4th. But what has happened to Mazda?
Keegs has really reeled Gary in there. Keegs has really gained on Gary. The gap's 2.5 seconds. Gary needs to make sure he can get, I'm sure he's not going to make a mistake here, but Gary possibly making a few more mistakes on that last lap, and Keegs close to him ultimately in the end. But Keegs looks like he's going to take a P4. Mazda then has lost points. He's actually lost out to Emo Guy at the end of that race, so finishes 11th and will only score 5 points. But Gary finishing down in P4, only taking 13, so a 4th for Gary, a 5th place for Keegs. Good race for Keegs in this second one. Unorthodox, a 6th place. Maybe it could have been more early on, but a 6th place nonetheless for Unorthodox. Cracking race for him. AH, a solid finish in 7th place as well, so good result for AH. D-Biggs, best result so far. I know this is only his 4th race of the season, but he's going to take a P8, so a cracking race for D-Biggs. Phil, not the race he'd have wanted though, but D-Biggs has spun! Before, did Phil hit him there? I wasn't paying attention, sorry. What happened?
There was a little bit of contact there as they came up on the line.
D-Biggs slowed on.
Might have been a lag there between those two.
I don't know, I've just watched on the stream. D-Biggs slows on the stream. Is he out of fuel?
Very peculiar stuff there. But
Is-
it looks like, and we see that Maz was trying to race Emo guy to the line. But,
No, that was
they
Dean.
fought
That was
their
Dean
way
Wasocki
back.
who hit D-Biggs. Dean Wasocki then
fine.
hit D-Biggs. So AH 7th, Phil gets 8th. Oh, I've got to redo this now. Phil in 8th.
My goodness.
D-Biggs takes 9th. I think D-Biggs runs out of fuel there, Andy, because he wasn't going again after the spin. I think he ran out of fuel. Don't forget, when you run out of
this
fuel,
explains
it just slows
Yeah,
you
but-
right down. So I don't think Phil expected him to slow.
Yeah, so what happened was Phil ran into the back of him because D-Biggs just abruptly came to a stop, and
Yeah.
then once they had the contact, D-Biggs had nothing left, so he couldn't get going again.
Yeah, that's what I think has happened, if I'm going to be honest there. But Sooty Apex, the man who takes the win, Fury will come home in P12 from Dean Wasocki. They was actually battling to the line there, so Dean could have ended up with 12th. Hasn't ultimately because of that one, but he'll take a 13th place nonetheless. Kieran Argent, nil points in race 2. But what a cracking race there. Then fastest lap of the race, I think it's an orthodubs, yeah, 45.8, fastest lap of the race then. So Emo Guy tried, but a 48.1 was his best. So unorthodox with the extra point, cracking drive from unorthodox tonight. We'll just grab Sooty in for a quick word.
Bleach pulled out 20 seconds on him, which is crazy to think when you imagine that those two were battling for 3rd and 4th in the later laps. But it's good to see that the Leeches, as far as we know, didn't run into each other this time. So lesson learned from Tuesday over in the Clios.
As we are joined by Sooty Apex, the race 2 winner and 2 pole positions tonight. Sooty, mate, up and down night. Race 1 not the best, but race 2, fantastic drive from yourself.
Yeah, I was well happy with race 2, especially with Peace for keeping me honest through the whole race. It was a good race. I was like, will he just leave me alone?
What happened in race 1, mate?
See, the gap was just the same. Race 1, Fury tagged me, hit me right up the chuff, and I went sideways into the barrier and had damage.
Right.
So,
Fair
I want to
enough.
thank you for being my first ever correct prediction of a winner here at Simplay Motorsport. Big thank you for that.
Oh, no worries, thanks very much.
But how was that? Did because Peaceful Explosion was really keeping you on your toes there towards the end. Did you feel at any point like you might have an opportunity to actually get in front of you? Were you just having to respond to him each time and manage the pace, or what was the situation?
I was trying to manage the time against each other. There's a nice puddle at the chicane, and each time I thought I've lost a bit of time there, and I could see him gaining on me, and then I thought he's had a little mistake. So I think luckily we were both having little mistakes through the laps. But yeah,
We didn't actually
no,
catch
it was
that
a brilliant race.
We didn't catch the puddle on the stream there, but yeah, it seemed like everyone was giving something a wide berth in the middle part of that corner. So.
Yeah, there was a few. Yeah, he kept me honest. I think we were definitely trading lap times.
Positive night for
brilliant.
yourself though, and a good night for your teammates as well, who got a 3rd place early doors. So you've got to be chuffed with the points tonight.
Yeah, it's been good for points. It's just unfortunate race 1. We could have maybe had potentially. We could have had. We could have both been on the podium, but it's just the way it goes. We might not have won race 2, so you never know.
Well, that race has jumped
We're
you
happy.
above.
I'm happy.
That's put you above AH on the standings before drop scores by a few points, and you're not far off the back of Kieran Argent, who got disqualified in that race. 4th in the constructors' standings. You go next week into Bruno, tough track with a lot of fog and rain around apparently. So what are you looking for there?
Hopefully the same again, but I think that's what everyone wants, won't it? Maybe bar race 1 results. But yeah, it should just decent points. I think that's all me and Phil are trying to get. Phil seems to manage to nail on the consistency of the team, whereas I'm the other way, so I need to work on that a little bit.
Well, Phil's managed to stay P5 after tonight, and he's only 43 points off the back of Gary. But good night for yourselves, mate, and congratulations, buddy.
Cheers. And again, brilliant commentary, guys.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, appreciate that. And as always, it's been a pleasure to have you by my side, Andy. Thanks for being here.
Absolute joy. And once again, I think it gets better and better every time we commentate, Matt. I think it's more and more exciting. I feel like the chemistry is really good fun.
It is.
Some of the best.
It is beautiful to watch. If you want to check out some more racing this week, head over to Motive Racing tomorrow night for the start. Is it tomorrow night, the start of your Formula 1?
So Formula One, we're not actually doing that one anymore. We're going to be running on ACC on Sunday nights. Other than that, it's going to be solely on Project Cars 2. We were going to be running F1, but unfortunately, we just don't have the staff at the moment. I'm going to be honest.
So it's Saturday night, your next live event, I do believe, on Project Cars.
Saturday night.
So
GT3.
head over to Motive Racing on YouTube for the GT3s and the LMP2s, I do believe, on Saturday. I unfortunately will not be there to commentate as I'm taking part in a 24-hour race, but I wish everybody the best over at Motive Racing. Check them out on YouTube. Head to their website, motiveracing.com, or head to their Discord server, Motive Racing. As well, for those who are still here, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get involved, check out the pages in the description. The page for if you're just a fan, join the group if you are wanting to race. But from all of us here at Simplay Motorsport, thank you for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you next Wednesday for Bruno with the Pro-Ams. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.